campaign. They traveled up to Evansville about a month ago, took all 4 points. Those were outside of one win against the Huntsville Havoc the following weekend. That was the last time that the Mayhem collected a win. My name is Alex Von Cordell. Happy to have you with us, folks, for some Thursday night hockey. College night here at the Macon Centreplex. $8 admission for college students with an ID, $10 tickets for general admission. Folks here getting a good deal. We hope the Mayhem can give them an even better deal by snapping this 8-game losing skid, the longest in franchise history. Coach Leo Thomas is optimistic that that's a possibility tonight. Evansville comes into this building ranking last in the SPHL, last in goals per game, last in goals against per game, last in power play and penalty kill. They've struggled in virtually every area, but that is no cause for the Mayhem to take their feet off the gas pedal and just expect the Thunderbolts to roll over and hand them 2 points, because I can almost promise you, folks, that will not happen tonight. The Thunderbolts have won 3 of their last 6 games. 4 of those games have gone to overtime. They've all been close, except for, with the exception being last Saturday night's defeat against the Huntsville Havoc. They fell 6-1. It was a close game until the third period, and the Havoc offense just exploded. But outside of that, the Thunderbolts have been in just about every single one of their recent games. They played some good opponents. They've beaten Huntsville in the past 3 weeks. They've beaten Knoxville. They've beaten Roanoke. So this is not a team that the Mayhem could just expect to get a couple of points from tonight just because of where they're at in the standings. Last weekend, the Mayhem made their first trip in the season up to the Midwest. They fell to the Peoria River on Saturday night right after a 3-2 overtime decision at the hands of the Quad City Storm on Friday. Those weekends are tough, folks, when you have to travel all the way, 14 hours away, and stop in several different cities on your way up, and then stopping in several different cities on their way back down as well. The Mayhem could not take a win from that series, or they did take a point on Friday night in their first and only game against the Quad City Storm this season, but that was not enough. They have really fallen behind a little bit and are now tied with 4th place with 2 other teams. So potentially, the Mayhem at the end of this weekend could end up in 6th place in the SPHL, which has not happened at all season. Right now, they're tied with the Fayetteville Marksmen and with the Knoxville Ice Bears. The Mayhem do have a game in hand over Fayetteville, who just played today. They defeated the Pensacola Ice Flyers earlier today. They had a morning game and defeated Pensacola. Knoxville with an identical record to Macon right now. 40 games played at 21, 14, and 5 months. One player to look out for the Mayhem tonight, folks, against the Evansville Thunderbolts. We're calling him the Bolt Cutter, Alexander Taline, here at SPHL honors the last time the Mayhem faced the Bolts. He buried 2 goals in the third period on the first night, including the game winner with senior victory. And the second night, he became the first Mayhem player this season to score a hat-trick. His team leading 14 shots on goal, and his 5-goal weekend will help him to Warrior Hockey Player of the Week recognition. And he demonstrated during the Evansville series how lethal his shot can be. Taline will be a player will certainly depend on tonight against Evansville.
And in goal,
So the Evansville starting lineups just announced 2 moments ago. Dean Moran and Patrick Helm behind the bench as the head coach. We're going to take a quick pause and listen to Mayhem head coach Leo Thomas in the pregame show, after which we'll bring you starting lineups from the Bolt side, and after which from the Mayhem side. That will come your way next. Don't go anywhere, folks. You're listening to Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network.
Next place in the second edition. tonight. You know, it was a little longer than we expected, but it was a good thing we didn't have to put on the other end and all that. So, he's another kid who looked better in practice or really this week in practice. And I asked him earlier if he's ready to go, if he felt good enough to play games, and he's pumped to get back in the lineup, so I'm glad to have him back. He's like one of those guys who doesn't really start on the score sheet, but does so many things that are so important. He blocks shots really well. He was excellent getting the puck out of his own zone, a big breakout passer, and really good defensively. One of the big reasons the Mayhem have been a really stingy team, a hard team to score on this season, and we're ecstatic to have him back in the fold, number 2 in the major scorers tonight. Coach, I want to shift gears a little bit to talk about the coaches show. We're 2 weeks into it now. We've gotten the chance to experience it through its progressive stages and getting off the ground. What are some of the things that you've taken away from it, and what are some of the positive benefits that you see that might contain every Tuesday night from here on out? Yeah, no, it's been awesome. You know, like you said, we've had 2 people show up each time. So, no, that's a good thing. It's good for the fans to come in, you know, hear different stories or get to talk and ask questions about the day away from the rink, what to do away from the rink, stuff like that, hobbies, you know, kind of stuff like that. And it's been a good show. I think, you know, obviously we're doing a good job, Alex, and we're asking good questions, and I'm asking good questions, and the players seem to have a good time with it too. And, you know, it's only going to get better for sure.
Yeah, they certainly have been. The fans last week, or this past week, just asked unbelievable questions. That was a great little 35-minute segment. Again, every Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. at the Rookery. For those of you interested in possibly coming by, the Mayhem will have a coach's show with Coach Thomas and 2 players every Tuesday night from here till the end of the season. Last question for you, Coach. The Evansville Thunderbolts are in town. We haven't seen them in this building at all this year. The 2 games we have played by the Mayhem have gotten a couple of wins, a 5-3 and a 6-3 decision about a month ago. I'm not sure exactly how to phrase this question, but would you say that tonight's game, given the way things have gone lately and given Evansville's struggles, would you say this is as close to a must-win game as we've had all season?
It's 100% a must-win. Nobody in the room is happy about the streak we have going on, and I think this is a huge game to stop this and obviously get stuff going in the right direction. And it's not going to be handed to us, like I've been telling these guys on every game against Quad, against all these other teams. You know, as hockey players, we play with pride. There's a thing about pride, and these guys aren't just going to hand it to us because they're at the bottom of the standings. But for us, it's definitely a must-win, and it's going to be a thing that gets us going in the right direction, like I said.
Yeah, and we've seen what has happened recently when teams have been expecting Evansville to handle a couple of points. The Thunderbolts have won 3 of their last 6 games. 2 of those were on the road. All of them were against pretty strong opponents. They just beat Huntsville not long ago on the road. They beat Roanoke on the road. They beat Knoxville in their own building. 4 of their last 6 games have gone to overtime, so this is not a team, despite winning all the standings, it's not a team that's just going to run over and accept defeat. So the Mayhem are really going to have to put their best foot forward tonight to snap the skid. Coach, appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me here today.
All right, thank you.
That's Leo Thomas, the head coach of your Macon Mayhem. This has been your pregame show. We'll be back with John Robertson in just a moment. Keep it right here.
Okay, well, welcome back, folks. Okay, well, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey and SPHL Live, powered by New Lion and on YouTube. This should be a fun one. The Mayhem right now hosting the Evansville Thunderbolts for the first time this season. We really look forward to seeing what mysteries the Mayhem will unravel tonight. It's college night presented by Ann Parman Law Firm at the Macon Centreplex, the 41st game of the 2018-19 regular season. Mac the mascot making his way out onto the ice right now to fire up this college night crowd. We've got another college night coming up next week. The Mayhem will host the Birmingham Bulls next Thursday before the onset of their big home weekend series against the Fayetteville Marksmen. Those games will be on March 1st and 2nd, Princess Night Friday, and Pucks and Paws Night on Saturday against Fayetteville. That's an opponent we haven't seen in a long time, but as of right now, the focus is all on getting a couple of points tonight. The Mayhem have not gotten a couple of points in a game since January 25th. And they're hoping to get their first victory of February this evening. Zach Urban starting on defense alongside his customary defensive partner, Kristaps Dazovic, who skates out to join him and gives a high five to Mac, the mascot, who just celebrated his 4th birthday about a month ago. A couple of weeks ago, back on February 8th. And Caleb Cameron will be starting at forward. The RIT grad skates out and gives a fist bump to his 2 defensemen starting at the blue line for Coach Thomas, Ryan Michael, and the Mayhem. Flanking Caleb Cameron will be John Seamer, who's been one of the Mayhem's hottest players of late. He scored the lone goal in Peoria last Saturday. Has had 12 points in his last 10 games, 4 goals, 8 assists. He's been red hot and is now the Mayhem's leading scorer. Jake Trask will be on his wing. The alternate captain and fellow alternate captain to John Seamer skates out, and that finishes the starting skaters for the Macon Mayhem, and Ian Silvis will be in goal. That wraps up your Mayhem starting lineup. Taking a look at Evansville's. Austin Frank on defense alongside Frank Schumacher. Up front, Evan Schultz, Carter Shinkarik, and Max Mikowski. In goal, Braden Ostapchuk. These have been your starting lineups. Braden Ostapchuk coming into this game with just a couple of wins. Through 21 games played, he's actually posted decent numbers, but he's not gotten enough victories to his credit. Just 215-3 despite a .903 save percentage. So Ostapchuk, number 39 in the white sweaters, hoping for his 3rd victory of the season tonight. Ian Silvis looking for his 9th, which would be his first in quite some time. And he's played really well against his former team. Got a couple of wins the last time the Mayhem faced Evansville back on January 18th and 19th. Silvis won both of those games. The singing of our country's national anthem will be next. Keep it right here, folks. Well, we're just about ready for opening puck drop here at the Macon Centreplex. This is the 41st game of the 2018-19 regular season. The Mayhem hoping it will be their first game that they win in their last 9. They've dropped their last 8. It's the longest winless skid in franchise history. Coach Leo Thomas confident the Mayhem can snap that skid tonight, but head coach of the Evansville Thunderbolts, Ian Moran, has other ideas. The Thunderbolts still hopeful they can slide into a playoff spot. They've only got 16 games remaining on their calendar, and they sit 14 points out of a playoff spot at the moment. Not insurmountable, but also not easy. Virtually for them, from this point on, every game will be a must-win. But for Coach Thomas and the Mayhem, this game, without question, is a must-win. The Mayhem have not had things go their way lately. They're facing an opponent who has struggled in virtually every area tonight in their building for the first and only time this season. This is the time to get back on the right track, and the Mayhem know that full well. Expect them to put their best foot forward tonight at the Centreplex. This is College Night, again presented by Ann Parman Law Firm. We're so glad you decided to join us tonight, folks, on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. John Seamer will be taking the first face-off. We're having a slight delay. Ian Silvis making sure the goal's on nice and snug. And it is Silvis and Creel were our guests on the Line Change Show on Tuesday night. They both did an outstanding job, the two goaltenders for the Macon Mayhem. Tonight's referee is Zane Stout. The linesmen are Dan Huntington and Sean DeLowe. The Mayhem entering this game at 21-14-5, tied for fourth place. Evansville in 10th at an 8-28-4 mark. Opening face-off is underway, and Evansville maintains possession of the puck as Owen will flip it off the glass down into Macon territory, and Zach Urban swivels behind his net and will send it up to John Seamer, who one-hands it out into neutral territory. It's flopped back in, and Silvis steers it aside. Bazovic picks it up in the corner, and Seamer attempts to slip one through, and down goes Schultz at center, whacked up to Trask on his off wing, who motors in across the Evansville blue line. His shot attempt was blocked and stymied on its way through to the net. Blocking it there was Ben Owen out the other way. Here comes Carter Shinkarik, who spins with it, outer hash marks, right circle, will deliver. It's up to the blue line. Nick Owen with a stutter step, wrist shot through traffic, missed the right post. Not by much. Bazovic scoops up the puck behind his own net, and he will make the breakout for the Mayhem. Attempts a saucer pass that's swatted out of midair, back into Macon territory by Max Mikowski, who will head to the Evansville bench and complete the first line change of this game. We're 55 seconds into the contest. No score at the Macon Centreplex between the Mayhem and the Evansville Thunderbolts. Kristaps Bazovic allows for Levesque to wheel out in front of him, and he hits him with the pass in stride. The Garson, Ontario native springs Sutliff down the right wing, who fires a shot off the backboards at Karams. Back in front, it's centered by Levesque, or rather by Sutliff for Levesque, and denied by Braden Ostapchuk, who has just made his first save of this game. The Mayhem will head up to Huntsville tomorrow, folks. They'll be taking on the Havoc, who have just passed them not long ago in the SPHL standings. The Mayhem hoping to catch back up to the Havoc tomorrow night and Saturday night. The entire Mayhem front office staff will be traveling, so the office will be closed as a result. I'll have the call on Friday. I will not have it on Saturday, however. Tune in to YouTube to hear a live audio stream, or tune into the away feed on SPHL Live, powered by New Lion. So Levesque blocking the clearing attempt, centering for Sutliff, who delivers for Kletcha, who's brought down. A penalty is going to be called. Steven Saylor, the referee, or rather Zane Stout, I beg your pardon, with his arm in the air, has made the call. And Evansville will be going to the box for tripping for the first time tonight. The Mayhem to the power play. So it's Nick DeVolio, who had a goal in each of his previous two games against Macon back on January 18th and 19th. The Mayhem on the power play this season, 14.9%. That's good for just 9th in the SPHL. The only team that has a lower percentage converting than the Mayhem on the power play has been Evansville. Fortunately for the Mayhem, Evansville's PK also ranks last, so the Mayhem with an opportunity here to take advantage and score the first goal. In games in which the Mayhem score first, they are 16-3-1. They're 8-2-0 at home. Given to the right side for Dakota Kletcha from the K1 dasher boards. He will wheel the puck around to the near side of the ice, and Justin Levesque closes it off. It's been cleared all the way down. Silvis is out of his net, and the forward Thunderbolt has it now on his big goal stick. Will drop it into the inside of the trapezoid. Zach Urban, wielding behind his own net, will begin to march out to neutral territory. Attempted to drop it back. Carter Shinkarik interrupted it and dumped it in. Silvis leaving it off now. Jake Trask wheels behind his goal and will pick up some steam down the right wing side and across the red, then the blue. Mishandled it. It's been cleared. Fresh off the bench is the Latvian Kristaps Bazovic, who head faked right and fooled Carter Shinkarik. Gains a step on both him and Mikowski and will start it into the zone on the backhand with a shot blocker saved by Ostapchuk. And the attempted clear works out. Shinkarik manages to get it past Seamer, and out with it is Silvis with 53 seconds remaining on this power play, brought to you by Wild Wing Cafe. Kristaps Bazovic gives it up to Seamer and gets it right back from him. Bazovic on the return up to Seamer in front of the benches, will motor in across the blue line and sends it on the side. Tallinn with a one-time shot. It's denied. Ronsberg set him up with a nice pass. Now Ronsberg trying to kick it up to his stick in the corner. Tallinn will wheel up to the top of the circle and feed it over to Seamer in the right circle. Bazovic now for Sutliff, left circle into the slot. Tallinn with the shot, stopped by Ostapchuk and cleared all the way down. Alexander Tallinn was the Warrior Hockey Player of the Week the last time these two teams met. Had a 5-goal performance that weekend. Ostapchuk sends it around the boards and it's cut off by Tallinn. Fed to the corner, Seamer turns with it. Ronsberg up to Sutliff, put it to the side of the net. Tallinn's got it behind the goal and will feed it to Seamer in the far corner. John Seamer works his way to the front. He centers it, leaps over the stick of Ronsberg, bounces out to center, and Nick Minerva's got a handle on it. Larry Smith making his return from injury. Larry Smith missed 6 games with a leg injury, folks, and Leo Thomas and the Mayhem really ecstatic to have him back in the fold. As Ian Silvis comes out of his net, plays it aside, long shot by Tyler Howe is turned aside by the pads of Ian Silvis. Tyler Howe with a relation to Travis Howe, the former Macon Mayhem. And now with the Greenville Swamp Rabbits in the ECHL, Tyler is his younger brother. Kletcha down his off wing, spins it over to Caligiuri, who is pickpocketed by Tyler Howe, who works it up the wing. Nick DeVolio will send it in from center ice. Bounces wide of the cage, and it's flung around to Kletcha on the far half wall. The centering pass is interrupted by Levesque. It's swatted up to the top of the right circle, and Rory Rollick keeps it in the zone. He will guide it down the boards up to Brandon Tucker, who feeds it into the right circle. DeVolio's shot attempt goes wide, and Kletcha will just hack it out of harm's way. Rory Rollick covering some ground, swats at it. It goes directly into the Evansville bench, and we get a whistle and a stoppage. We're nearly a quarter of the way through this first period. No score yet between the Mayhem and the Evansville Thunderbolts. It's the first and only time the Mayhem are hosting the Bolts this season. And it's been described by the Mayhem coaches and players alike as a must-win game. They're off to a pretty good start. Have had the majority of shots on goal, though they did not convert on their power play. They certainly looked good on it. They moved the puck extremely well. Alex Tallinn with a couple of grade A scoring opportunities to put the Mayhem in front. The face-off that's going to take place between Carter Shinkarik and John Seamer in the far circle in the Evansville zone. A couple of alternate captains going at it, one by the one in white. And it's fed around the end wall now out to the right wing side, where it's carried into the neutral zone by Max Mikowski, who sustains a check from Seamer. That big hit brought to you by Harrison's Body Shop Collision Repair. Here comes Trask off the nice pass from Cameron. His sharp angle bid is denied by the chest of Ostapchuk. And now Taylor Love, the Mission Viejo, California native, gets a return from his D partner, Jarrett Cupp. Good to see Cupp out there skating. For those of you who didn't hear it with the interview with Coach Thomas, Cupp was not in the game, was not in practice on Monday. Or on Tuesday, I beg your pardon, when the Mayhem had their first practice of this week because of the long travel schedule due to a stomach bug, but he practiced the rest of the week and he's good to go. He gets the pass now and fires through a thick screen. It goes off the side of the net on the left side, and he will then just flop it off the Carrabba's dasher board behind the Evansville net. Caleb Cameron swinging it up. Kristaps with a bit of a mishap, but he recovered and shot it on goal, stopped by Ostapchuk. 14:08 to play in the first period. No score between the Mayhem and the Thunderbolts. We're going to take a quick pause. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network on SPHL Live, powered by New Lion, and on YouTube. Thanks for joining us, folks. We'll be back in a moment.
This season, the Mayhem are offering a great group package. Whether you're a school, a church, a company, or just a group of friends, give the Mayhem office a call and we'll set you up with an incredible group deal. From $13 tickets to free team hats to a unique experience upgrade of your choosing, the Mayhem have got you and your group covered. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to purchase your group tickets to a Mayhem game today.
I thought you
Evansville on the breakout. They're able to get the puck back over their own blue line. Seth Ronsberg back to interrupt it now and coughs up possession and into the zone. Now comes Scott Donahue, who rifled his shot just wide of the net. And the Mayhem are out of the woods for now. Alexander Tarlene will skate it in across the Evansville blue line and chip it into the far corner now, relative to him at least, the near corner on SPHL Live. In the meantime, Owen will fly it wide of the cage. It bounces into the corner on the far side, and Zach Urban is pinned up, turned over near the circles. Backhand shot from the side of the net goes off of the back of the cage. Now it's going to be Kletcha carrying it out of the Macon zone, and he will chip it, go in after it himself. He's held up and taken down by Austin Frank without the puck. He thought that might draw a penalty. It did not, and play continues here. No love lost. As receiving the pass now is Eric Salzillo, Evansville's top scorer this season with 24 points on the campaign, 20 of which are assists. He's been a good distributor of the puck, number 20 in white, as it's been deposited behind the Macon cage, wrapped around past Sutliff, and it's whacked rink wide now. Kletcha will scoop it off the carom and will lob it up to, Justin Levesque is stymied. Lots of white sweaters surrounding him. It sails over Larry Smith's stick, and Nick Minerva will go back, scooping it up, and picks up some speed as he flings it into the slot for Justin Levesque. His pass goes hotly off the stick of Sutliff. And cutting it down now is Minerva, putting the pressure on in the far corner. His pass to Levesque bounced off his stick, and in the meantime it's brought down the right wing by Brandon Tucker. Tucker is stick checked by Jarrett Cupp. Tucker ends up with the puck and centers it. Nobody was there on the far side. And Sutliff will leave it now. Jarrett Cupp sends it off his own backboards. Jake Trask got it down there on the far corner. He passed it to his own goaltender, Ian Silvas, who steered it aside off the near half wall. Jarrett Cupp absorbs a big check into the wall, but he was able to clear the puck out regardless, and Caleb Cameron was pickpocketed, dispossessed of it. Chase Neuendijk skates it down the right side, rips a shot that's blockered away by Silvas, and John Seymour will commence the counterattack. Jake Trask skating it down his off wing, caught on an offside whistle, stopping play. 11:41 to go in the first period, still no score between the Mayhem and the Evansville Thunderbolts. Ian Silvas playing against his former squad tonight, a team he played just one game for this season, before he was released from the team and promptly joined the Macon Mayhem and was happy to do so. Lots of Mayhem goaltenders leaving the squad early on, and despite all that turnover in the most important position on the ice, the Mayhem have still managed to maintain the second best goals allowed per game in the league. John Seymour off the intercept, forces the turnover and drives and shoots, stopped by Ostapchuk. As it's worked up the boards, Caleb Cameron seals the wall, but Mikowski gets a second chance. Can't clear it on that one attempt either. Cup centers. Here's Trask shooting. Scores! Jake Trask from the right circle has just scored his 17th goal of the season, securing sole possession of the team lead in goals. John Seymour, Jarrett Cupp will get the assists, and the Mayhem have a 1-0 lead. The much-needed first goal scored by Jake Trask to give the Mayhem lots of life, lots of swagger, and the first goal of the game, which almost always is good for a couple of points for the Mayhem this season when scoring first. The Mayhem 16-3-1, 8-2-0 at home. Again, Jake Trask has, with that goal, has just crept into the top four in goals among the SPHL leaders. He has just passed he has tied Jacob Barber and Josh Harris for fourth in the SPHL's league lead in goals with 17. Barber, Harris each at 17. If Trask gets one more tonight, he'll be tied with Austin Veith of Peoria for third in the SPHL. The ensuing face-off will now take place to the right of Braden Ostapchuk. Justin Levesque having jumped the gun a little bit, as did Nick DeVolio of Evansville. DeVolio on the campaign with 6 goals, 4 assists, 10 points. And Levesque winning the offensive zone draw to set up Sutliff in the slot, whose shot attempt was blocked by Nick Wright. Evansville's leader in penalty minutes this season with just one shy of triple digits. He's got 99 on the campaign. Justin Levesque victorious in the battle for puck possession. Now twisting and turning is sized up there by Frank Schumacher. It slides along the end wall out to the far corner, and Nick Wright will flip it up in the air before being hit by Sutliff. It lands near Larry Smith's vicinity. He will collect it and send it out to center. Tucker firing one the width of the ice. It's whacked in now by Nick Wright, and behind the Macon net, past Larry Smith out to the near half wall. And Larry Smith will scoop up possession. Derik Sutliff joins in on the rush. He holds the line brilliantly. The centering pass tipped wide by Sutliff. Nice play by Quetcha. Nearly had a tap in for Derik Sutliff, will now skate to the Macon bench. In the meantime, here comes Shane Morrissey, who's caught on an offside whistle stopping play. Morrissey's been one of the players to watch tonight for the Mayhem, as we're going to head to our second media timeout of this game. Morrissey in his last 4 games has scored 5 goals and has had an assist. Also had a 3-point weekend the last time these teams faced back on January 18th and 19th. Be back in 30 seconds, folks. Keep it right here.
Need to raise some money for your organization? Contact the Mayhem front office and we'll be happy to partner up with your group to help you fundraise for a cause. You buy tickets from us at $10, you sell them for $15, and then you keep the remaining $5 per ticket sold for whatever cause you like. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to set up a fundraiser for your organization today.
Fairly interested in getting a fundraiser or a group outing. Both are still available, and there's still plenty of hockey left to be played before the postseason. 6 home games after this one remain for the Mayhem in the 2018-19 regular season. Call our front office for details at 478-803-1592. Caleb Cameron. He will take a check by Carter Shinkarik, but deliver the puck deep. John Sealing runs his man into the own boards. Long shot blocker, so Ostapchuk cleared up into the slot where it's carried out to center by Evan Schultz. Now bounces near the Macon blue line. Seymour kicks it up to his stick. Taylor Love gets the pass from Seymour and sends it back out to the opposing blue line. Now here comes Shinkarik in across the blue line. He'll dump it in behind the Macon net into the near corner at Kareem's, and a couple of stick lifts and scraps for possession. Ben Owen will rattle it into the adjacent corner. Jarrett Cupp battling for it, and the centering pass is snuffed out. Ian Silvis is able to hang on to it and make the stop. 9:05 yet to be played here in the first period. 1-0 score in favor of Macon. Jake Trask with the lone goal. We'll be back in just a moment, folks. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. The offensive zone draw here to Ostapchuk's left, his glove side. Sean Reynolds whacks it down to Alexander Tallene, who's scrapping for possession now with Austin Frank. And Tallene will catch up to it, racing after getting to it first. Seth Ronsberg bats it down with his stick, and it's sent up the wall. Tyler Howe able to get it out. Bazovic up to Tallene across the Evansville blue line. Delays and sends it into the corner on the far side. Reynolds to Ronsberg. Reynolds gloves it down after the return from Ronsberg, and Ben Owen tries to one-hand it past it. Austin Frank manages to get it up to his own blue line. It's carried through center by Salzillo, who cuts to the front of the net. Shot pass never reached him. It was blocked by Zach Urban. Sent into the right corner, and Kristaps Bazovic will fake one way and end up going that way eventually. He's a very deceptive defenseman, Kristaps Bazovic. Loves that little head fake to buy himself an extra second or two. And it's extremely effective. He is checked by Brandon Tucker, though, after getting rid of the puck. Caleb Cameron centering it in tight was Kletcha. It was spared away from him. Out to neutral territory. Larry Smith pops it up to Liberty. Crisp pass into the middle. Clutcher for Sutliff to the forehand. Can't tuck it in. Past Ostapchuk, who made the save. Great three-way passing play, and the Mayhem faithful a little upset that Sutliff couldn't finish off that play. Kletcher gave him a brilliant pass at the side of the net. I think had Sutliff just gotten rid of it immediately, would have been a tap-in goal, but it wasn't quite. He wasn't quite in the best position to do that. He had to sort of corral the puck. He didn't have enough leverage to really lift it over Ostapchuk's arm. So brilliant effort by Dakota Kletcher on the Mayhem, but ultimately Ostapchuk just getting the better of Sutliff on that little point-blank opportunity. Puck's batted out of midair by Kletcher, rolled back into the slot. It's picked off and by Schumacher and worked back in across the Evansville blue line. Rather, that's Chase Neuendijk, not Schumacher. Neuendijk sends a no-look backhand pass onto the tape of Schumacher, who will clear it in. Nick Minerva catches up to that rolling puck in the near corner. Now it's sent on net from a severe angle, ricocheted awkwardly off of Derik Sutliff's stick. It's denied by Ian Silvis. Evansville with minimal shots on goal so far, just 4 showing up if you count that one on the scoreboard. We're under 7 minutes left to be played in period 1. The Mayhem with a 1-0 advantage over the Evansville Thunderbolts. John Seamer able to cleanly win that defensive zone face-off, and Jarrett Cupp delays and wraps it around his own end wall. And Caleb Cameron swatting it past his own blue line. And Jake Trask will gun it down in the corner on the near side of the ice. Caleb Cameron tapping it down to Trask now, who delays. Jarrett Cupp gets the pass from him at the left point. Seamer, Love, long snapshot stopped by Ostapchuk with the shoulder. Jake Trask corrals possession, will backhand it to the line again. Love bobbled it just barely. That's all it was. That was all it took before the puck bounced across the blue line. Jake Trask swiveling his way through the Evansville defense. He will leave it now for Cameron. Cameron was in it from too tight of an angle to make a play there. He then sent it off of the stick of Jake Trask. Pressure is put on by Cameron, forcing the issue behind the Evansville cage. Twisting with it now is Ben Owen, who will send it to his D partner Frank Schumacher. It's given up to Eric Salzillo, who sends it on net from 100 feet, easily dealt with by Ian Silvis. Bazovic with a backhand pass up to Alexander Tallien, who is checked but got rid of the puck just before that happened. Bazovic spinning with it now. Long pass out to the red line. Vinny Caligiuri redirected it into the bottom of section 210 or so. Maybe that's probably section 110 actually. That flying puck brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. We've got 5:39 yet to be played here. The Mayhem up 1-0 over the Evansville Thunderbolts. A neutral zone draw on the Macon side of the ice. Nick DeVolio jumping the gun a little bit premature there on that faceoff. Shane Morrissey will take his place against Seth Ronsberg. Ronsberg back at center now, more of his customary spot. He's had to step in on defense and play a lot of games back there this season. It's been dumped in from in front of the Evansville bench and halted behind the Evansville net by Ostapchuk. Bouncing puck in the slot, backhanded up to the blue line and over it eventually. Brandon Tucker will start it down his off wing, send it into an area where it's pursued by Nick DeVolio. Brandon Tucker in lifting the stick, centering the pass all the way back to the line. It's salvaged and fed to Schumacher above the right circle. His snapshot is redirected just wide of the left post. And the Mayhem escape the danger for now. Schumacher intercepting the clearing attempt by Tallien from the right circle. His shot sails wide of the left post again. Schumacher with a couple of close calls for Evansville. Pretty smooth skating defenseman. Ranks second on the Bolts in scoring among blue liners this season, behind only Ben Owen with 10 on the campaign. 10 points, 2 goals, 10 assists. 2 goals, 8 assists, I beg your pardon, as Chase Neuendijk will fly it into the left corner. It's going to be scooped up by Max Mikowski. Mikowski is held up by Dakota Kletcher and behind the Macon goal. And Carter Shinkarik Goes behind the Mayhem net. Larry Smith ends up with the puck on his stick, feeds it to Derik Sutliff, who will give it up to Levesque now. Justin Levesque closing in into the Evansville zone, left circle with a wrist shot, and in the butterfly to make the stick save was Ostapchuk. Levesque with a head fake. Fed it through the crease. Larry Smith now at the right point. It Kareem's to him. He'll put it behind the net. Bounces over Levesque's stick. Sutliff is there. Derik Sutliff is held up, and Tyler Howe has just cleared it. Larry Smith's got it. He sends it off of Sutliff's blade where it's redirected into Evansville territory. Ben Owen emerges with it. Owen spins with it. Sends it D over to Captain Rory Rawlick. Salzillo. Trask forced the turnover. Shoots and scores! Jake Trask with an unassisted goal. He took the puck away at the blue line, marched his way down the slot, and rifled it right over the shoulder of Braden Ostapchuk. And the Mayhem's longest tenured player has really put the team on his back tonight. He's got both goals. It's 2-0 Macon. Well, Jake Trask has just got that absolute howitzer of a wrist shot. It's so hard for goaltenders to stop. And there's going to be a fight right off the draw. Seth Ronsberg is in it with Nick Wright now. Couple of heavyweights throwing fisticuffs left and right, and Ronsberg goes down. And the two of them shake hands. Good little bout. And Nick Wright is sent down the tunnel. Ronsberg will be as well. You gotta love those planned out fights. We've seen Tallene in a few of those this season. We've seen Ronsberg in a couple of them. And Nick Wright, folks, he is a tough cookie. And this season, 99 penalty minutes coming into this game. He's cracked 100 now. He's probably, I would say, well, after that fight, the 5 minutes, he'll rank second behind only Roanoke's Cody Dion for the league lead in penalty minutes with 104. Dion ranking first at 105. Here's Seymour turning the corner with it, following a takeaway. Love spins it back into the high slot. Jarrett Cupp's wrister is blocked by Brandon Tucker. Cupp gets right back on it above the left circle. Will scale it down the half wall. His attempted pass back to the line is picked off by Tucker. John Seymour, Alex Tallene both staying tight on the puck. Seymour will spin it to Tallene, who gets a return pass from him. The two of them play catch. Tallene finds an opening for Bazovic at the blue line. Bazovic fakes, feeds Seymour, left circle. He swaps with Cupp. Seymour cuts into the high slot. He fires. He scores! John Seymour with goal number 11 on the campaign. 38 points on the season for the alternate captain. Has given the Mayhem a 3-0 lead. Evansville is going to be guilty of icing following that neutral zone face-off. 2:14 yet to be played in the first period. The Mayhem off to a lightning-like start here on College Night, presented by Ann Parman Law Firm. 3 goals in the first 17 minutes and 46 seconds. It's been a really good start for the Mayhem. They got exactly what they needed tonight. They knew that scoring the first goal would be paramount to getting these 2 points. Evansville, a team that has really immensely struggled, probably more than anyone, when they concede the first goal. The Mayhem, when entering the first period with a lead, have very seldom not been able to hold on to that lead. This season, when leading after one period of play, the Mayhem are 12-2-1. And right now they've got a substantial advantage. The leaders of this team coming up huge, which is exactly what the Mayhem needed. Coach Thomas described this game as an absolute must-win. And two of the guys that he has counted on the most all season long, Jake Trask, John Siemer, both delivering with a few strikes, as a one-time blast by Bazovic is barely fought off by Ostapchuk, who just got a piece of it. And now Zach Urban will feed it back to Bazovic now in his own zone. The return is to Urban. Up through the middle for Klecha. Klecha gains the blue line, delivers for Levesque. He snaps a shot, stopped by Ostapchuk with the glove. So with that goal by John Siemer, who has just built upon his team lead with 38 points on the campaign, he's now just one shy of tying Alec Hagman for 5th in the SPHL. He's nearly back up in the top 5, which currently consists of Ben Blasco, Ryan Salked, Josh Harris, Cy Nukovic, and Alec Hagman. Levesque, the pass back to Klecha was interrupted, and Minerva sustains a huge hit by Scott Donahue. Play continues here. There's only been one power play so far through this game. And the Mayhem right now 0 for 1 on the Wild Wing Cafe power play so far tonight. It's been chipped into the zone by Scott Donahue, or perhaps that went into the Macon bench or went off of the side of the stanchions. I think Bones had it, the Mayhem equipment manager. He just tossed it into section 123 for a lucky fan sitting on the glass. There's going to be a neutral zone face-off to follow with 90 seconds remaining in the opening stanza. So Larry Smith's got it. Minerva to Cameron. Crossed the blue line. Caleb Cameron's attempted pass was intended for Trask. It went off of an Evansville stick. Kareem's back out to center, and Rory Rawlick will chip it into the zone. Larry Smith up to Caleb Cameron. We'll spin it out into neutral territory. Siemer swiveling down the left wing side, dropping it for Trask. Backhand pass into the slot, whacked out of there by Rawlick. And Shane Morrissey will just chisel it into Macon territory. Silvis allows it to go. Minerva just turned 23 earlier this week. A happy 23rd birthday to Nick Minerva. At this point now, that was actually 9 days ago, back on February 12th. Caleb Cameron redirects it into Evansville territory. Down the right wing skates Max Mikowski. He centers a hot pass that was intended for Schultz. Too hot for him to handle. Evansville waiting to tag up. They're good to go. It's chipped in behind Silvis's net. He will play it inside of the trapezoid and wheel it around to the far half wall. Tallene for Larry Smith. Smith's pass goes off of an Evansville skate. Centering pass, point blank save by Silvis, and a follow-up shot is blocked on the way through by Smith. 8 seconds to go. And Schumacher just put it down towards the sign station dashboard. Schumacher keeps it in the zone. One last opportunity here. Never really comes to fruition as Schultz couldn't get the shot off. The Mayhem will enter the first intermission with a commanding 3-0 lead over the Evansville Thunderbolts. A dominant first period by the Mayhem, who I think have made a loud and clear statement tonight that they are tired of losing. This winless skid, as it stands right now, is poised to end tonight. The Mayhem off to a fantastic start. 3 unanswered goals for them in the opening 20 minutes. Jake Trask with a pair, one of which was unassisted, and John Siemer with the other. Siemer with a goal and an assist tonight, the primary on Trask's first goal. And the Mayhem's best players tonight have been their best players, which is always key, especially in a situation like this. The implications of winning this game, folks, it's not just about snapping a winless skid. It's about retooling, refocusing, and getting the right mindset again. With the postseason steadily approaching, when you look at it, 16 games away from the playoffs, that seems like a lot. 7 weeks seems like a long time. It seems like a lot longer on paper, than it will actually feel like when the time comes. And the Mayhem do realize that, and they also realize they're facing an opponent tomorrow and Saturday night in their building, a very good opponent in the Huntsville Havoc, who have been on fire lately and have taken it upon themselves to climb out, not climb out of a hole necessarily, but they were a good chunk of points behind the Mayhem earlier this season, folks, and now they find themselves several points ahead of the Mayhem. If Macon can pull off a sweep up in Huntsville, then they will pass the Havoc in the standings again. But that is quite a tall order with the way that Huntsville's been playing lately. And winning this game tonight against Evansville will certainly give the Mayhem a better platform from which to build this weekend, this Friday and Saturday night at Von Braun Arena. Again, folks, the Mayhem staff will be traveling to Huntsville tomorrow. Blair Floyd, the general manager, Colin Mitchell, our community relations director, Tyler Layfield, our director of ticketing, Brian Arnold, our digital media producer, and myself will all be making the trip. I'll be broadcasting that game on Friday. For those of you interested in tuning in for a Macon side of the broadcast, just head to our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll be sure to post a link to the live audio stream, which will be brought your way through YouTube. And then, of course, on SPHL Live, we'll have an away feed as well as the Huntsville broadcaster feed. So feel free to tune in any which way. The Mayhem staff will be traveling back after the game on Friday night. After this weekend, the Mayhem with a 3-game homestand next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. From February 28th through March 2nd, the Mayhem will be hosting Birmingham that Thursday, another college night, $8 admission for college students, and then on Friday and Saturday, they will be hosting the Fayetteville Marksmen on Princess Night on Friday, and then Pucks and Paws Night on Saturday. For registration, if you'd like to sign up your wiener dog for the Pucks and Paws Night race, head to MaconMayhem.com. Under the Community tab, there's a registration page for your wiener dogs to participate in the Pucks and Paws Night race. So the Mayhem have a commanding 3-0 lead through the first 20 minutes of play here at the Macon Centreplex. We're so glad you decided to join us tonight, folks, on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. Tonight on SPHL Live, powered by New Lion, and on YouTube. By the way, we apologize for those of you tuned in on SPHL Live. We had a bit of a snafu with the camera. Our usual cameraman, Ryan Luparello, couldn't make it tonight. He had a previous engagement, so his replacement, he was running a little bit late, but he made it up here. So we should be good for the rest of the game, but the first couple of minutes, we do apologize that there was no live running camera. We'll be sure to make sure that does not happen again. Fortunately, there were 3 goals scored, and all of them were caught on camera, so there is that. But again, we apologize, and that shouldn't be an issue for the rest of this game or at all going forward. So we're going to step aside here, folks. We're glad you decided to join us. The Mayhem lead 3-0 over Evansville. When we come back, we'll hear from Mayhem center number 13, Jimmy Soper. His interview coming your way next. Keep it right here, folks.
Welcome back, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on SPHL Live, powered by New Line, and on YouTube for this Thursday night contest. The Mayhem hosting the Evansville Thunderbolts for the first time this season, and I had the pleasure of being joined by Mayhem forward Jimmy Soper. Jimmy, first off, I really appreciate your time, and thanks for being here.
Happy to do this. Thanks for having me.
So, Jimmy, talk about the recovery process that you've gone through since sustaining that injury, and what's been the biggest thing that you've had to keep in mind throughout the stages of it?
I think the biggest stage is just being patient with it, not rushing back too quick. Definitely getting closer here, and looking to get back out there on the ice.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly miss you, and you said you're getting closer here. Are you able to give us sort of a timetable? Has anyone given you a timetable or an ETA of when you might be able to make your return here?
I know that I'm off the IR come Monday, but after that I'm not sure. I haven't started skating yet, so it's kind of a day-by-day after next week.
In your absence, because you've played a pretty
pretty specific role, I think, for the Mayhem. You were a really dependable 200-foot player, good center, good strong presence up the middle, and you certainly love to hit. Have there been any players that have stood out to you over the past month or so in the time that you've been out who have really stepped up in your absence and sort of filled the role for you that you once had?
Well, I think with all the injuries that we've had over the last month and a half, that almost everyone up front's really stepped up and filled some roles. I know losing Trasker and Levac, 2 top scorers on our team, definitely big shoes to fill. And then me as another center, I think the guys have done a great job, hanging in there. Haven't got much puck luck lately, but everyone's done a great job filling in there.
Yeah, and certainly the puck luck has not been on the Mayhem side anywhere in the past 8 games, it seems like. Those little bounces just haven't been going their way, and that's been evident in their overtime and shootout records in those close games. The Mayhem have just not come out on top. They're 0-5 in games that go longer than 60 minutes this season. But what have been some of the other things you've seen, because you've sort of been able to take a step back and really get some perspective and watch these games and probably see a lot more watching than you do when you're a part of it and right in the middle.
It's going to happen. We're on the ice. You got to read and react in the moment. But I think we got to simplify our game, just get pucks in, outwork the other team. I know we haven't outshot a team in a while. I mean, that we got to get more pucks to the net and just play our game, simplify it.
Right, the Mayhem, that is true. They've not managed to outshot anyone in a really long time. And when they do outshoot their opposition, the Mayhem are 16-5 this season. So that's why one of the keys of tonight's game is getting more shots on net. As last Saturday, the Mayhem pitched a franchise low of just 15 against the Peoria Rivermen, at least 15 that were recorded. I want to shift gears a little bit here for you, Jimmy. I want to talk a little bit more about your personal upbringing and how you ended up in Macon. You're a Canadian boy from Waterloo, Ontario. You played Canadian junior hockey, major junior hockey in the OHL, and then started this season up in Newfoundland. What was it that sort of propelled your decision to come back to Macon? I know you spent a little bit of time here last season, but what was it that was appealing to you about coming to Macon and playing for Coach Thomas?
I had great experience here last year when I was here, and I had all intentions to come back here this year. I had spoken to Coach a few times before I had come back, and I love the city, love the fans, love the atmosphere, great group of guys, and I'm happy to be a part of the Mayhem.
Oh, is this the southernmost, warmest place you've ever lived in, and what have been some of the things that you maybe are able to do that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise back in Canada that you enjoy about Macon?
Yes, this is definitely the most warm spot I've ever been in the winter, for sure. You get to golf, which you can't do at home right now, but the part I guess I miss is there's no pond hockey here as well, so it's kind of a happy medium there, yeah.
Well, if it's any consolation, it looks like we might have some pond hockey tonight. It rained just about every day this week. It's pretty humid in Macon right now, and there's an issue with the compressors here, so it's pretty warm and foggy, and the ice melting a little bit, so hopefully the guys keep it a little bit simpler tonight. Obviously the ice is never perfect, and tonight it might be even more difficult to play a full 60 minutes. And that sort of leads me to my next and final question for you, Jimmy. I'm planning on asking Coach Thomas this as well. Evansville is in town. It's their first time ever playing, first time this season, I should say, playing in this building. They've struggled in just about every category this year. Would you say this is the closest thing to a must-win game that the Mayhem have faced all season?
Well, I mean, we are on a bit of a snowball right now. There's no sugarcoating it, and chasing Huntsville, we have to have a big weekend here, but we can't look forward to those 2 games on the weekend. We have to get it started tonight, and we have to treat Evansville. They've won a couple games lately, and we got to get this turned around, and we need a big 60 minutes tonight.
Absolutely. Evansville, having won 3 of its last 6 games, 4 of its last 6 games have gone to overtime, so they've really been in just about every one of these tilts, with the exception being a 6-1 defeat last Saturday against Huntsville. But hopefully the Mayhem can use this opportunity to take a team that's struggling and salvage 2 points and snap the skid that they're on. Jimmy, best of luck in the rest of your recovery process. We hope to see you back out there soon, and again, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
That's Jimmy Soper, number 13, forward for the Macon Mayhem, who we hope to see back in a Navy sweater soon. This has been your first intermission report. We'll be back in just a moment with your Marriott Hotel out-of-town scoreboard update and more right after this. Welcome back, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. The Mayhem with a commanding 3-0 lead over the Evansville Thunderbolts, who have had their struggles this season. They rank last in lots of pretty important categories: power play, penalty kill, goals for, goals against. This is the time to get back on the right track, and the Mayhem wasting no time doing that, getting off to an explosive start, scoring the first 3 goals of this game, coming off the sticks of their leaders, John Seamer and Jake Trask, in the opposite order. Trask scored the first 2, Seamer the last one, to put the Mayhem in prime position to skate away with a couple of points tonight, but they cannot let up. They've got to keep their feet on the gas pedal. Evansville has proven to be a pretty resilient squad over the past few weeks. They've got 3 wins in their last 6 games. A lot of those games have gone to overtime, and the Mayhem have not really fared well in overtime. So they've got to keep at it right now, and
But it's secret. Nobody knows.
got to keep at it right now and make sure that they remain focused for the next 40 minutes, because this is the last thing they want to allow this situation, which they've not been in a long time, to get away from them. That's another thing. The Mayhem have not been in a spot like this in quite a while. They have, right now, the shots on goal favor Macon 14-5, according to our stat keepers. The Mayhem have not outshot any of their opponents in a very long time, folks. The last time the Mayhem outshot anybody, in fact, was Evansville back on January 19th. Which was 10 games ago. So the Mayhem, obviously a much stronger team in games in which they outshoot the opposition, and because that hasn't been happening lately, that's been a byproduct that they've struggled because of it. This season, when outshooting the opposition, the Mayhem are 14-5-0, and in games where they're outshot by their opponents, they're just 7-9-5. So continuing to put shots on net, that will be paramount for the remainder of this game, which reminds me, I didn't get a chance to go over the 3 keys of tonight's game. Number 1, take nothing for granted. That goes without saying. Evansville, probably a stronger team than they look on paper, and have been playing it better recently than they did at the start of the year. Number 2, competing a full 60 minutes. Coach Thomas in the Coaches Show back on Tuesday said that big part of the issue over the past number of weeks for the Mayhem is that they've not managed to put a full 60 minutes together. They've had really good surges and really strong glimmers of light, but they have not played a complete game well enough to secure 2 points. So that obviously one of the 3 keys of the game that we just mentioned, really, and they sort of goes hand in hand with the other one in generating more shots on net. So all 3 things, I think, of the 3 keys of the game kind of go without saying, and it's the onus lies upon Coach Thomas and Ryan Michael to make sure that they go through with it. Let's take a look around the SPHL for your out-of-town scoreboard update presented by Marriott Hotels. For a Thursday night, it's actually a pretty busy evening. There's 3 games going on in the league if you include this one. Right now, Knoxville is hosting the Quad City Storm up in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's a 1-1 tie up there. Fayetteville won their game earlier against the Pensacola Ice Flyers by a 4-3 decision in regulation. So it was a close call, but Fayetteville held on. They were up 3-0 at one point. Pensacola made a comeback attempt. Unfortunately for them, they didn't get any points in the standings, and those are valuable points in the standings for Rod Aldoff's squad at this point. They're comfortably ahead of Quad City right now, but They're also comfortably behind Roanoke, which means they're going to be stuck in the 8th spot, the 8th and final playoff spot for quite a while, for at least another few weeks. It's mathematically impossible that they leave the 8th spot in the SPHL. Quad City right now 8 points behind the Pensacola Ice Flyers with 2 games in hand. So if they can pull out a road win tonight in Knoxville, the Storm will be just 3 wins away from retying Pensacola. So Quad City really making a playoff push. Evansville looks like they're probably eliminated, but they are also looking at every game like it's a must-win. It's not mathematically impossible for them to make the postseason, but if they wish to have any chance in doing that, then they have to look at every one of these games as a must-win scenario, which means that tonight they've really got a mountain to climb to get themselves back into this one. Macon has displayed dominant puck control, possession. They've outpaced Evansville in all 3 zones. They have outshot them and outchanced them. They have to continue that killer instinct and send themselves off to Huntsville on a high note. Last Sunday, the Havoc hosted the Evansville Thunderbolts, and it was a pretty tight game up until the 3rd period, and all of a sudden, Huntsville's offense exploded. They ended up scoring a total of 6 goals, 3 in the 3rd period, to smoke the Thunderbolts by a 6-1 score. Tonight, the Mayhem have gotten off to a great start. No explosion will be necessary. They've just got to continue to pin down the Thunderbolts and outpace them and outchance them as they did in period 1. Again, folks, the referee for tonight's game, Zane Stout, the linesmen, Dan Huntington, and Sean Deloey. Ian Silvis, thus far, perfect in net. He only had to face 5 shots. He stopped them all. The fewest amount of shots, in case you were wondering, the Mayhem have ever allowed in a single period of play was not too far off from this. Well, back on March 15th of 2018, the Mayhem allowed 2 shots against the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs. That was a game they would actually lose by a 2-1 score. And then up in Peoria, even though it's pretty clear that a few shots went unregistered, the Mayhem still certainly upset that it was their franchise low in total shots on goal for a game with just 15. It was the lowest in 4 seasons. And it's good to see that they've taken that and used it as motivation to say, you know what, we've got to be better at challenging the opposing goaltender and making life harder for him. They didn't challenge Storm enough last Saturday in Peoria. They've certainly challenged Braden Ostapchuk tonight, however. So in this first period alone, the Mayhem just 1 shot shy of what they did through an entire 60 minutes last Saturday. Sean Deloey will drop the puck at the Macon Mayhem logo at center ice. John Seamer and Carter Shinkarik will take the draw. 2 of them have gone head-to-head quite a few times already tonight. A couple of alternate captains and veterans. The puck drops. Shinkarik wins the draw cleanly. Chase Neuendijk will skate it up to the red line and slide it into Macon territory. It's guided aside by the pads of Silvis. Bazovic to Seamer. Touch pass picked off. And the Mayhem dodge a bullet there. Nearly a costly turnover as Rory Rawlick, the Evansville captain, will shovel it into Macon territory from the red line. And Silvis drops it off for the ex-Toledo Walleye, Zach Urban. And now Caleb Cameron, the RIT grad, will send it off the end wall, bouncing it right to Zach Urban. Urban backhands a pass up the middle. Caleb Cameron storming in across the blue line, going wide and shooting. Bounces off the side of the net, bounces now behind the net, and now Rawlick will try to slide it up the boards And it's careened further past Taylor Love all the way down into the Macon zone. Icing is the call against Evansville. That icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. 45 seconds into the second period. 3-0 your score in favor of Macon. Caleb Cameron's dog Stanley has a profile on the Mayhem website now, folks. He and John Seamer's dog, Cooper, in honor of Pucks and Paws Night. The Mayhem doing bios on all the players and Mayhem staff members who've got dogs. If you're interested in reading up on Cooper or Stanley, head to the Mayhem website, maconmayhem.com. And you can see the dog bios there. Justin Levesque, now to take the draw against Shinkarik. Carter Shinkarik with a brother in the NHL with the Calgary Flames. And Hunter Shinkarik. And here he comes. Through center ice. Is he onside? He is. Schultz has it at the left point. He will drop it to Shinkarik now, who reverses it down the half wall. Schultz hit up high by Taylor Love, no penalty, and Cup will get it in the far corner. Sends it up to Dakota Kletcha, kicks it up to his stick, and down the left wing he will skate it. He tries to pass to himself. Ben Owen halting his possession, at least for the time being, but in typical Kletcha fashion, he continues working for it. He's eventually dispossessed of it by Eric Salzillo, who will get the return crisply on the tape from Scott Donahue. Tyler Howe, met by Seamer. He will scale it down the half boards, chipped out of the zone by Nick Minerva. Frank, slap shot from the right point taken by Scott Donahue, easily denied by Silvis. Another shot, stick saves Silvis on the shot from Frank. Donahue, far corner, is knocked off of possession from in behind the net, and Dakota Kletcha with an attempted clear gets it just over the blue line. Austin Frank firing it right back in. Silvis will leave it on a platter for Nick Minerva. The Mayhem in the midst of a line change. Seamer couldn't handle the long stretch pass from the Mayhem's young defenseman. Swatted back up the slot at the blue line. Larry Smith will backhand it to the right corner of the ice. Caligiuri had it escape him, and Morrissey will send it out. Brandon Tucker. Back to Austin Frank. And Schumacher angling it off the boards, and Morrissey trying to slip his way by Zach Urban, picked out by Caligiuri. Somebody with a lot of experience playing against the Thunderbolts with all those games he had up with the Quad City Storm earlier this season. Reynolds, Smith, playing in his first game after a 7-game hiatus due to a lower body injury. Larry Smith, statistically, the best Mayhem defenseman at getting the puck out of his own zone. Excellent defensively all season long. Alexander Tallin blocks the clearing attempt, hammers a slap shot that's stopped by the chest of Ostapchuk. The last time the Mayhem went up to Evansville, the broadcast team, as Seth Ronsberg and Nick Wright are let out of the penalty boxes to rejoin their teams. Tommy Pecoraro and Nick Wright was on the mic that night as a color analyst, and he's going to stay out there. But they both talked about Alexander Tallin and the sheer power that he gets behind his shots. It's tough to stop. And Braden Ostapchuk made that save look easier than it probably was. Jake Trask holds it in the zone, tries to center Schumacher, interrupted it with his skates. Bazovic taps it in behind the net. It's spun around to the near half wall. Nick Wright's clearing attempt blocked by Cameron. Skitters back up the boards. It squeaks past Urban, who will roll it on back. Bazovic makes the play up to Jake Trask. He will skate his way in across the blue line, and John Seamer motoring down the left wing side. Dishes it to Trask, back to the blue line. Bazovic, that deceptive little head fake. Pulled the trigger, blocked by the stick of Mikowski, who will skate it out of harm's way. From the red line, it's flown into the zone by Evan Schultz. Silvis for Seamer. Seamer to Bazovic. Back to Seamer. Over the blue line with some speed. Inside, outside. Cuts around Neuendijk and centers. Trask couldn't pull the trigger there. He was well covered, and now Scott Donahue will send a diagonal pass up to Tyler Howe. He will send it below the Macon goal line. Taylor Love is checked, and looked like Scott Donahue was upended, losing his stick that flew about 6 feet in the air. In the meantime, pursuing it now, Derik Sutliff on the left. He will wheel behind the net, attempts the wraparound, and a butterfly save is made in goal by Braden Ostapchuk. The puck flies out of play in the meantime, and we get a stoppage. That flying puck has been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair, 1543 to go in the second period. The Mayhem enjoying a 3-0 advantage. Folks, we'd love to have you take advantage of our group outing package. For groups of 10 or more people, you can call the Mayhem office and we'll set you up with an incredible deal. Tickets for just $13 a piece, free hats, and an experience upgrade of your choosing. For more information, call the Mayhem front office at 478-803-1592. Those of you curious, those experience upgrades include everything from a high-five tunnel to a picture on the ice to bench buddies to possibly color guard to an intermission contest, you name it. Derik Cup did well to keep the puck alive at the blue line. He will get another chance to make a play on it. He will feed it safely to Love, and he takes the wrist shot stopped by the pads of Ostapchuk, and the Bolts are out to center with it. Batted down by the glove of Derik Cup, and Taylor Love has to spin with it. He leads one up into the middle of the ice, and Justin Levesque slides it to Dakota Kletcha. The return is in Levesque's wheelhouse, but he was well defended by Rory Rawlick. Levesque gets it in the right circle. He had the puck knocked off his blade by Shane Morrissey, and here comes Chase Neuendijk, who negotiates his way over the Macon blue line, delivers it off to his right. The snapshot is on target, stopped by Silvis. Shane Morrissey pulling the trigger. Morrissey leading all Thunderbolts by a long shot in goals this season. He's got 15. Nobody else besides Scott Donahue is even in double digits. Donahue's got 12. After that, there's a pretty big drop-off. Huge percentage of Evansville's goals this season have come from numbers 10 and 14. Seth Ronsberg will be tasked with winning this defensive zone draw. Will be countered by Carter Shinkarik, who's been excellent in the face-off circle tonight. He's won another one. Caligiuri can't clear it past the blue line. Ben Owen saw to that. And now Carter Shinkarik is worked into the corner on the near side by Larry Smith, a Niagara University grad and Buffalo native. Ronsberg sprung one to Nick Minerva. New Jersey-born defenseman will shovel it out towards the red line, and Caligiuri trying to shimmy one along. Posting up with it is Alexander Tallinn, who will allow Minerva to skate past him. Minerva down into the left circle. Knocked off his stick. Caligiuri recovers, sends it over. Great pass. Tallinn with a shot off the post, and it stays out. And Evansville will breathe a sigh of relief. Excellent pass through lots of bodies by Caligiuri as Austin Frank dangles with it. Gave it away. Caligiuri spirits one ahead off the right half wall at Kareem's. Ronsberg put it back behind the net. Caligiuri's knocked off the puck by Evansville's Evan Schultz. Zach Urban spins it to Tallinn. Making a break for it is Cameron. He receives the pass. Right circle. Cameron with the shot. Fought off by Ostapchuk. Cameron tried to snipe him low blocker side. Ask just about any goaltender, folks. If there's one single shot you can't stand facing the most, it's low blocker side. Those are really hard to stop. Bazovics over the blue line. Fires it wide of the net. Bounces off the right corner boards. Donahue hoists one out into neutral territory. Cameron sliding it on back now to John Seamer. Got a 2-point night going, a goal and a primary helper on Jake Trask's first goal of the night. Trask also with a 2-point game, both of which are goals. Zach Urban lobs it in from center, patted away by Ostapchuk, and Urban steps in. Puck flies out of play. That flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. We're going to take a quick pause on the Mayhem Broadcast Network for our first media timeout. Of period 2. We'll be back in just a moment, folks. You're listening to Macon Mayhem Hockey on the Mayhem Broadcast Network.
Next season, the Mayhem are offering the most inclusive and rewarding ticket package in team history. These perks extend over all 28 home games at the Macon Centreplex. Your season ticket package gets you 2 buddy passes to any of the 28 home games, a 32-ounce Mayhem souvenir cup with $3 refills, a discounted season-long parking pass with access to VIP parking, 10% savings at the Mac Shack, a Mayhem lanyard, early access to the arena before games, VIP entrance to the arena, 3 exclusive team gifts, talk with the coach before the games, and much more. Head to MaconMayhem.com to check out how you can secure your spot for the 2018-2019 season.
Well, some crisp puck movement by the Mayhem as Trask centers it into the slot for Seymour right between his skates. Mayhem look like they're on a power play here, but they're not. Seymour switches with Cup at the blue line. Trask took it away from him and fires. It rattles over the crossbar, stays in play as Love suckles it down to the adjacent corner. Squeaks past Cameron, and it's moved up and out over Cup's stick past, or rather by DeVolio, and Love recovers in his own zone. He rattles it around the boards, kept by DeVolio, who fires from a tough angle save. And it's jammed home past Silvers in the rebound. It's Shane Morrissey scoring his team-leading 16th goal of the season, has brought the Evansville Thunderbolts back to within a couple of goals. It's now 3-1 Macon with 12:43 to play in period 2. So Nick DeVolio and Shane Morrissey were one of Evansville's main two guys when it came to producing last time Macon went to Evansville, and they faced off in a two-game road series up at the Ford Center. Both of them had a multi-point weekend, and they're both on the board tonight. Sent back to Newendijk for a long one-time drive that was blocked by the crowd standing out in front of Silvis and went off the protective netting and out of play. A 3-goal lead, it's been told by many that is the most dangerous lead in hockey. It sort of serves as a sort of that perfect, I guess, happy medium where it's not inconceivable unless you're a comeback, and at the same time it's a comfortable lead to where a team that possesses that lead might start to naturally just take its feet off the gas pedal a little bit, allowing for the comeback to happen. And let that be a wake-up call to the Mayhem that this game is far from over. Zach Urban is checked, and the loose puck is whacked out by Bazovic to Kletcha on the right side. Kletcha lobs a saucer pass back to Bazovic on the return. He sends it over, hoping for Kletcha. It would have been on his tape had it not been intercepted by Max Mikowski. Now Rawlick will feed it up to Chase Newendijk, nephew of Dallas Stars legend and former general manager Joe Newendijk. Rawlick put it behind the net. Zach Urban there to intercept it, and now Kristaps Bazovic will hoist it out into the neutral zone. Pursuing it is Sutliff, 1-against-1 on Austin Frank. Frank finishes off Sutliff, and he had help. Sutliff did not, as his teammates were in the midst of a line change. 11:25 to go in the second. 3-1 Macon is your score. Rory Rawlick airmails one into the adjacent corner. It's Cup, hit hard by Tyler Howe. Howe slips up, and Tallene receives the pass from Cup, gives it to Love, who splits one up the left side. Sean Reynolds will pass it to himself behind the opposing net. Reynolds pivots, feeds it up to the blue line. A long snapshot by Cup is fought off by the blocker of Ostapchuk. Here's Love at the right point. Long shot through a thick screen, nearly redirected by Reynolds, but it missed the left post, not by much. Reynolds has the puck. Wheels to the outside, feeds it over to Taylor Love, his former opponent in the Federal Hockey League earlier this season. Here's an opportunity for Tallene. He turns and fires. Loose puck skipping on the blue paint, cleared out to the side, but stays in the zone. Tallene back to Love. Here's a slap shot, shoulder save by Braden Ostapchuk, and the Mayhem unable to build upon their 2-goal lead as we're approaching the halfway point of regulation time. 10.5 to play in the second period. 3-1, Macon your score. Goals tonight coming off the sticks of Jake Trask twice, John Seymour once, and Shane Morrissey once for Evansville in that order. The Mayhem doubling the Thunderbolts in shots on net, 20-10 thus far. John Seymour will be countered in the face-off circle by Nick DeVolio, who beat him to it, and Morrissey will accelerate down the left side. Nick Minerva did well to turn away from the pressuring Shane Morrissey. John Seymour backhands a pass to spring Jake Trask down the left wing side. He pivots, loses possession, and the loose puck is scooped up by Frank Schumacher. Trask has had so many two-goal games this season, but he's never been able to pull off a hat trick. We'll see if he can do that tonight. Plenty of time remains for that to happen. Larry Smith shovels it past Seamer. DeVolio will put it behind the Macon net. John Seamer is there. He will start to pick up speed through center. He eludes a couple of Evansville Thunderbolts, perhaps even caused some friendly fire. It looked like two Bolts ran into each other as Morrissey lunges out to keep possession, but to no avail as Smith takes over, chips it off the glass. Morrissey decided not to go to the bench for a change. He fires it on goal, redirected and saved by Silvis. Nice stop on the deflection by Max Mikowski. 9:26 to go in the second. 3-1 Mayhem is your score.
This season, the Mayhem are offering a great group package. Whether you're a school, a church, a company, or just a group of friends, give the Mayhem office a call and we'll set you up with an incredible group deal. From $13 tickets to free team hats to a unique experience upon your choosing, the Mayhem have got you and your group covered. Call our office at 478-805-1592 to purchase your group tickets to Mayhem game today.
Folks, for those of you who weren't aware, we do a weekly Monday morning radio show with 100.9 FM The Creek, the official radio promotional partners of the Macon Mayhem. This past week we had the birthday boy, Nick Minerva. It was a few days after his birthday. He joined me in the air with Tony Doolin, Charles Davis, David Higdon, and Anthony Ennis over at the Creek, and that interview went really well. We'll play that back for you in the second period in case you didn't have the chance to listen to it earlier this week on Mayhem social media. The Mayhem are now halfway through regulation time. They sustain a 3-1 advantage over the Evansville Thunderbolts in what Coach Thomas has described as a must-win game. The Mayhem right now in their longest winless drought in franchise history, knowing full well that snapping that would really get this team back in the same sort of mindset it was in at the start of the year. They won 9 of their first 10 games this season and propelled their way to the top of the SPHL, only to find themselves in a position now of falling potentially to 6th after the weekend. But there's still plenty of time to do something about it, and they're trying to seize the moment right now and not prolong this pain any longer. There's a chance for Kletcher. Scores! Gets the return for a stepper who taps it into the left net. It's Dakota Kletcher's first goal since returning from a long hiatus. Is now in double digits for goals this season with 10, 18 points on the season. Derik Sutliff with his 10th assist on the campaign. And the Mayhem have extended their lead. It's now 4-1. And that was one of the easier goals to ever see Dakota Kletcher score. I spoke with him about his recovery from the wrist injury that he sustained back in November, and he told me that really the last thing to come back for him was his shot. His skating, his passing, his stick handling, all of that was fine. His shooting, however, was not back up to par. That took a lot longer to recover. But Derik Sutliff really just gave him a pass on a silver platter. All Kletcher had to do was skate full steam ahead and keep his stick on the ice, and that's exactly what he did. As long as he skated, that puck was going into the net. Excellent pass by Sutliff, and the Mayhem lead 4-1. 8.5 to play in the second period. Vinny Caligiuri chipping the puck into the right corner. Taylor Love is first to it. Vinny Caligiuri in there trying to help move it in a friendly manner, but it's won by Evansville, and the puck by Ruben Owen turns it over in front of his own net, and Alexander Tallene couldn't get the shot off that he wanted to. Gets a second chance. Pass over to Love is off the mark. Love recovers from the circle Centers it for Tallene, who redirects it wide. Ronsberg, Love, wrist shot, pad saved by Ostapchuk. And Tyler Howe gets it out of his own zone. Jarrett Cup races in after it, collects it behind the Macon net. We get a whistle and a stoppage. A slashing penalty is forthcoming against the Mayhem. Looks as though it'll be Alexander Tallene, the team leader in penalty minutes this season, also in the top two in the SPHL. He's just tied Cody Dion for the league lead in PIMS with 105. So for the first time tonight, the Bolts are going to the power play. Their power play this season coming in at just 11.8%, which is last in the SPHL. Macon's penalty kill just shy of 80, 79.77th in the SPHL. Morrissey, the lone goal scorer, feeds it to Rawlick at the right point. He will deliver for Schumacher, who hammers the one-timer, stopped by Silvas through all that traffic. As Morrissey will send it up to the point again. Schumacher's got it there in front of the Texas Roadhouse dashboard. Rawlick. DeVolio wants the one-timer. Instead, it's Schumacher who pop fires it, stopped by Silvas with the pads and chopped past Schumacher out into the neutral zone. Schumacher's pass bounces off the stick of Tucker, and now it's collected by Morrissey, swiveling down the left side, shoots and scores. My goodness, what a snipe by Shane Morrissey. That was Connor McDavid-like, just no angle whatsoever, no room, and he just lifted it collectively, very calmly over the shoulder of Ian Silvas into the back of the net, and Morrissey competing with Jack Trask for a hat trick tonight. Both of them have 2 goals. Morrissey's strike coming on the power play, and the Bolts are back to within 2. That Mayhem penalty kill was brought to you by J&J's Heating and Air Conditioning. They were off to a really nice little streak until they met Peoria last Saturday. They had killed off 12 in a row. But Peoria converted on 2 out of 5 opportunities on the power play, including the one that got them on the board. Ralph Grinberg's one-timer, and then Alec Hageman's strike from above the right circle. Bezovics, Trask, Seamer. Returns it for Trask. It was a tweener. And out with it skate the Thunderbolts. Evan Schultz will dump it in. Icing is the call against the Bolts. That icing call brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. 6:43 remaining in the second. 4-2 Macon is your score. Justin Levesque will take an offensive zone draw as he lines up against Carter Shinkarik. Shinkarik doing what he can to delay this puck drop. His team guilty of icing with some pretty tired bodies out there. Levesque with a clean win on the draw. Urban sets up Bezovics, who hammers a one-timer, and the shot was blocked. That was a howitzer. It was just blocked by Evan Schultz. It bounces over Kletcha's glove, retrieved by Sutliff, who's got a twist and turn. Kletcha had to kick it up to his stick. A little bit too far into his path. He soccered it, and now Zach Urban will spin it across the blue line. Bezovics from the left point. Kristaps Bezovics, some smooth skating to buy a few inches of space. Gets it right back from Urban, slaps a shot off, stopped by Ostapchuk. Kristaps Bezovics extremely nifty and mobile back there at the blue line. He knows exactly what little tweaks and moves to do to buy those precious few inches of ice. And he needs to get his shots through traffic. I don't know that anybody in the Mayhem does it better. Nifty and shifty. There's going to be offsetting penalties here. Rory Rawlick went into the wrong box, causing some confusion. So Dakota Kletcha heads into the Beyond Taboo Tattoo penalty box, and Rory Rawlick to the right penalty box. The Mayhem is everywhere hashtag bonding penalty box. And we're going to head to the 4-on-4. Offsetting roughing minors against the Evansville captain and the Macon veteran Dakota Kletcha. slashing the call against Rawlik, I beg your pardon. And the call against Kletcha was roughing. Slashing was the call against Rawlik. So Seymour did well to avoid an offside whistle there as he charges in down the half wall to keep the attack going. Sustains a cross check by Austin Frank. Play resumes. It's been cleared down into the Macon zone. No icing as Taylor Love takes a swat at it with Scott Donahue. The two sticks coming together canceled. And Jarrett Cup will spring Jake Trask on his way. He swaps with Seymour, swivels over the blue line, leaves it for Seymour, who one-hands a pass down to Trask in the right corner up to Cup at the right point. Cup, Trask, waits, delivers for Cup in the right circle. Jarrett Cup up to the blue line. Taylor Love's got a little bit of room. He will send it a little bit too far outside of the reach of Trask, and it's taken over instead now by Ben Owen, who will shovel a pass up to Austin Frank of Evansville. Frank down the left wing side. Sends a shot well over the crossbar. Caroms off the backboard stanchions. Smith, and Seymour heads to the Macon bench as he is exhausted. He is replaced by Caleb Cameron. In the meantime, Minerva will reorganize behind his own net with 40 seconds remaining on this 4-on-4. We're inside of the final quarter of period 2. Minerva accelerating now through center. The Mayhem are well offside as Sutliff had, I think he was expecting a pass there. 4:40 to play in the second period. 4-2 Macon is your score.
Need to raise some money for your organization? Contact the Mayhem front office and we'll be happy to partner up with your group to help you fundraise for a cause. You buy tickets from us at $10, you sell them for $15, and then you keep the remaining $5 per ticket sold for whatever cause you like. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to set up a fundraiser for your organization today. Don't forget, Mayhem fans, the Mayhem are having a different promotional night for every one of their home games in the 2018-19 season. With 90s Night, Superhero Night, Princess Night, Military Weekend, and so much more, there won't be a game all season where we won't have something exciting going on at the Macon Centreplex. Visit our website at MaconMayhem.com for more details.
A half minute remains here on this 4-on-4. Bazovics will snap a shot from the left half wall. It's steered aside by Braden Ostapchuk. Nick DeVolio kicking it up to his stick, and he will spring one along. Turning the corner and taking the shot there was Frank Schumacher. Missed the net wide of the left post. Bazovics trying to work it away from Shane Morrissey. Fed to Urban now. Zach Urban. Nice pass up the middle for Justin Levesque, joined by Sutliff on the rush. Levesque stick handling away from Chase Neuendijk, who takes him off the puck, and scrambling on top of it now will be Ostapchuk. He will take a whistle and a stoppage of play. Derik Sutliff proving to have a nose for the net recently. He just tied Jake Trask 1 week ago, or rather 6 days ago, up in Quad City with his 16th goal of the season. Tying Jake Trask for the team lead in goals is no small feat. Sutliff was able to do that with a beautiful snapshot from the right circle. However, Trask has just pulled back ahead of him again. Trask now with 18 goals on the campaign, which ties him for third in the SPHL. Here's an opportunity for DeVolio, who races down the left side. Misfired with a shot that was Donahue, rather, and Love will attempt to win possession of the puck near the Margaritas Mercer Village dasher boards. Eric Salzillo sends it behind the net, and it's going to be Taylor Love skating it out of danger. His pass well outside of the reach of Caligiuri, however, and here comes Salzillo backing across the Macon line, going wide on Cup and firing it wide of the far post. It caroms back out to neutral territory. Austin Frank will bounce it in from center ice. There's a goal that happened in a Swedish league from 200 feet. It took a nasty bounce, went over the goaltender and into the back of the net. Silva's playing that one very carefully accordingly. Perhaps he watched that one earlier and saw what not to do in that situation. Nick Minerva sent the puck behind his own net. I think he wanted to get more on it than he did, as Larry Smith sort of had to scramble to avoid a turnover. Now Nick Wright will take a long wrist shot from the left point. Lots of blue sweaters standing between him and Ian Silvis. Now it's dumped in from center and cradled by Ostapchuk. Braden Ostapchuk coming into this game with a .903 save percentage, but has only managed a couple of wins for Evansville this season through 21 games played. A tough situation that he's been in this season. His team has not given him much run support this year. And playing against the Mayhem, who are the second best team in the league at keeping the puck out of their own net, can't be an easy task on the road, even when you consider Macon's recent struggles. Which is amazing to think about the amount of turnover they've had in net and to still be in that situation the Mayhem are in. It doesn't matter who's been in goal, the Mayhem have done an outstanding job of preventing goals this season. Caleb Cameron reverses the pass to Jake Trask, put it out in front. Trask received it from Seamer, rather, and now it's Cameron taking over behind the goal line. Will angle it back up to the top for Zach Urban. And DeVolio's clearing attempt is snuffed out by Urban, who backhands it to Cameron. Intercepted by DeVolio, and out he skates with it. Nick DeVolio is squeezed off by Zach Urban, stays on the puck and sends it at the net. Stick save made by Ian Silvis. Oh, and there's going to be a penalty here. Something happened away from the play. Nick DeVolio might have been speared or slashed by Caleb Cameron. DeVolio lost his stick. The Mayhem had just iced the puck. It was Urban, rather, who got DeVolio. And Zach Urban will head to the penalty box here and take a seat. That's the Beyond Taboo Tattoo penalty box. Zach Urban's going to pop a squat and the Mayhem back to the PK. Evansville scored on its only power play of this game so far. So Urban was given a 2-minute minor for high sticking, and he's probably lucky that there wasn't any blood on DeVolio's face, or that would have been a 4-minute double minor. Donahue, now up to the point for Rawlik. He will switch with Schumacher. Schumacher receives it from Rawlik, fires a one-timer, glove save Silvis. Several players searching for it in the crease. Whacked out to the half wall on the far side. Salzillo spins with it. Evansville's top scorer with 24 points on the campaign. Walking the blue line is Schumacher. Delivers for Rawlik. Slap shot blocked by Kletcha. Secured in the corner on the far side by Salzillo. Right circle. Rawlik allows Schumacher to switch with him. Long snapper goes through most of the traffic, but not all of it. I believe Tyler Howe ended up blocking it. Salzillo. Schumacher. Salzillo again above the right circle. Now to Rawlik in the deep slot. About 55 feet outside of the net. Schumacher tried to center one for Tyler Howe, picked off. Kletcha does the honors and clears it. 37 seconds remain in the period, 45 on the penalty against Zach Urban. Rory Rawlik slides it up to Morrissey. Got both of Evansville's goals tonight. He tries the same exact goal, but this time Silvis learned his lesson, had the post fully covered. Shane Morrissey nearly with a duplicate goal. But Silva said, not this time, I've figured you out. So Zach Urban in the box for the next 34 seconds. Urban was had his pass that was intended for Cameron earlier, intercepted by DeVolio, and DeVolio's the one that Urban actually high-sticked. So I'm not sure if that was just a pure retaliation out of frustration or what, but he's hopeful that the Mayhem can kill off this ensuing PK. Evansville, by scoring here, would put themselves in great position for the third period. Right point. It's fed from Ben Owen to Chase Neuendijk. Neuendijk has a blowout. Cameron trying to pry the puck free out of his skates. Neuendijk did well in the recovery there after taking that digger. He is heckled by the Mayhem faithful, but that happens, folks. You got to credit Chase Neuendijk, who's looking down to his skates, making sure there's not an issue with his skates. You don't see a professional hockey player lose his footing like that very often. And, he just sort of had a blowout there. I'm not sure there was anything wrong with his skates necessarily. Sometimes they just get tangled up with one another when you're backpedaling like that along the blue line. He appears to be fine. But he did an excellent job in his recovery of not pouting and not just allowing Caleb Cameron to pick up the puck and just start out to the races, because oftentimes that's what will happen in situations like that. He was probably a little bit embarrassed, and he just stayed with it. He kept his composure and made sure he sort of landed on top of the puck, didn't allow Caleb Cameron to pry it off of him and skate out the other way on what would have been a 2-on-1 shorthanded rush. So credit Neuendijk for that recovery. The Mayhem with a 4-2 advantage heading into the second intermission. 9 seconds remain on the penalty called against Zach Urban. And we're going to take a brief pause on the Mayhem Broadcast Network, folks. Thanks so much for joining us. The Mayhem hoping to snap this winless skid tonight. They're on the right track. Early in the third period, after a few seconds tick off the clock, they'll go back to 5-on-5 and hope to close out this game with 2 points tonight. In the meantime, as promised, you're going to hear our interview on the creek from earlier this week. Nick Minerva joined me on the air on Monday morning. So that interview coming your way momentarily, folks. Keep it right here on the Mayhem Broadcast Network.
No problem. And it's just okay. We're just no problem. And it's okay. Evansville, Colonel of the Macon Mayhem, and favorite players to talk about. Well, I'm looking forward to having you on the show, Nick. I got to tell you straight up. Last few months, I've really enjoyed watching you play. So from the Macon Mayhem, I got your name right. Tell us about yourself, Nick. Where are you from? I'm from New Jersey, Central New Jersey, about 45 minutes from New York City, about an hour to Philadelphia, so pretty much dead smack in the middle, born and raised. There you go, and if I venture to guess, you started skating from when you were the age of 3 or 4? Or 5. Man. Tell us about your hockey career. I started playing hockey at 5. I started playing ice hockey at 6. From there, you were cool with that. I won't skate for you. Fell in love with ice hockey itself. Played a lot of hockey until I was about 13, 14, pretty competitive. Kind of teamed off from there, and from there on, I've been playing hockey since, ice hockey since. Excellent. Just this is my first year. First year? Where did you play before this? I played D3 for a year. Okay. How old are you? 22. 23 years ago. All right, now. That'd be great thing. I Charles to sing to you. I thought I was sing to you. He's our youngest guy. He's our youngest player. Youngest player on the team. Man, I gotta tell you, you are. It's really enjoyable to watch you play the game. Seriously, straight up. Ashley and I were sitting there the last few games watching, and I was like, man, every time he gets on the ice, it's just he's poetry in motion. Wow. Wow. To start on wheels, man. Okay, yeah. Whoa, you end up on ice. No, he's a great player, man. For him to put poetry in motion. That's a strong, it's a strong statement. Wow, for sure. Because the one that has the face is like, what the hell am I on? You don't talk this way about anything. No, that's he don't talk about me like that. You don't ice skate. I don't. You don't ice skate. I can't. Alex,
I'm all right. I'm pretty good, thanks.
Thank you. After that glowing response to Nick, everything else you say to us is chopped liver. Alex, I'm mildly sorry.
Moderately happy to be here.
I'm going to talk to Nick some more, but he's got some quality, man. No, we're going to talk about Alex, okay? Let's talk about this week's games. You guys have 3 games this week?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
we picked up a Thursday night game here at home. Centreplex, 7:35 puck drop. It was college night.
Yeah.
$8 with a student ID.
$10 regular tickets for everybody else, right?
$10 regular tickets and then $10 for college groups, which includes free hats and an experience upgrade.
Oh, very nice.
Great deal, yeah. Like we said last time, Wesleyan, Mercer, GCTC, we're talking young
colleges.
DeVry. If you an ID, you're in for $8.
Those people do get IDs.
They do. So we're taking on the Evansville Thunderbolts.
Yep.
I keep wanting to call them the Evansville Thundercats, but that's wrong.
That's wrong.
It is the Thunderbolts.
We don't get the chance to play those teams from the Midwest very often. We just went up there for our first time this season, up to Quad City on Friday and Peoria on Saturday. It was a long haul. They actually just got back from the trip last night at like 8.
Wow.
So I felt bad asking Nick to come on this morning.
But you arrived, man.
Yeah, lack of appreciate that, bro.
Give me the Friday and Saturday rundown.
So we're actually heading out to Huntsville to take on the Havoc, who actually just passed us in the standings. So we're looking to take some of those points back.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So we played pretty well against them this year. We're 2-1. And our only loss against them came in their building, and it was a hard-fought game. We lost 5-4, back and forth battle. So we're looking forward to going back out there and getting some comeuppance against them. And then playing on Thursday night. I mean, Evansville, they've struggled this year, but they've been turning their season around a little bit. They've had a few wins recently against some pretty decent opponents. They just beat Roanoke on the road. So we don't want to, take them for granted, and we're hoping to snap this little skid that we're on Thursday.
Where are we on the injury standpoint?
So this past weekend, we got a couple of big pieces back. Jake Trask came back. Justin Levesque came back. They both got an assist on Friday night, so we're really happy to have them back. And then Larry Smith, Nick, I don't know if you can really talk about your fellow D partner, how he's doing.
Concerning is all about an injury. He tried to give it a go this weekend, but it looks like the timetable is next weekend instead. So.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of an injury.
Especially down the road.
I was going to say, getting close to playoff time, having these injuries come back, can these players come back from injury? Does it feel like it's going to be a nice boost for you guys to have everybody back and being healthy going into playoff time?
100%, because it just brings us back to kind of like an original roster we started with, and that's kind of the guys we kind of went with from the beginning, so why not end with them?
Yeah. A couple of our forwards that moved up to the ECHL, we almost got both of them back, but they sort of got picked up last minute, claimed off waivers. So Stathis Ulidis and Sam Wilbur, we thought we might get them back, but a couple of teams, one in North Dakota and then one in Virginia, kind of swooped in last second and picked them up.
So like North Dakota.
And I mean, let's talk about the reality of this. Including Thursday, 7 home games left in the regular season. That's incredibly saddening. It's going to make me sad. You only get to play all year.
But Tony, they can't do that. They got no Tony. That's
No,
rough.
they can do it.
Playing hockey's rough, Tony. You can't be beating up on yourself all year.
7 home games. We have this Thursday. We have next Thursday again. We pick up that weird. We were saying off the air. When you look at this week and next week, 2 Thursday games. Kind of let you know. Could be more home games in the latter half of the season. Yeah, Mayhem.
Yeah. No,
Sometimes it works that way.
right. Second half of the year, historically, we've always done better with, attendance and getting buzz and stuff, but it's just the way it happened. We had a top-heavy start to the year. A lot of home games in the first half.
Yeah, but Pucks and Paws is coming up soon, which is always a huge night.
Oh, yeah.
I got to ask this question, because in between periods, first and second period, you do the wiener dog race on the ice. And I know that there's a limited amount of time between the first and second period, and you got to do that. You got to get the Zamboni running. Do you have a pooper scooper out there? Has it ever happened on the ice?
Gosh, I would think so.
Well, I think you would have to.
There were, probably 70 dogs?
There were a lot of dogs
last
year.
time. I would think that at least one of them would, do its business.
And have to,
I know that Austin, that little kid. Put it on kid. Austin is really responsible enough to do it, Charles.
He just wants to revel in the glory. He doesn't want to do a lowly.
That's what I'm saying. Let a man do that. All right, so Thursday night, 7:35, the Macon Mayhem will be at the Centreplex taking on Evansville in a game next Thursday night. Anthony will be your in-game host for this Thursday night's game.
Next Thursday's college night as well, so same deals apply.
And tomorrow night, the Coach Leo Thomas Coaches Show downstairs, Creek Stage at the Rookery, 6:30. Get there early.
get there early, people. Get yourself
some snacks and a drink.
Yes, Alice Von Corridor, the Coach Leo Thomas, and some players.
Kind of debating who you're going to bring tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm probably going to go with the goalies. I haven't told them that yet.
Oh, okay.
So.
Goalie.
Now, hold on, Nick. I've heard rumors that goalies, number one, have the weirdest pregame rituals.
Oh, they're just the weirdest people in Canada.
I wouldn't have said that, but that was what I was getting at.
Yeah,
So thank
I
you
know.
for saying that
No,
for me.
no problem.
So it could get weird up in the rookery tomorrow night backstage.
It may well be.
Well, thanks for coming this morning. I'm sure you got in late last night and still made it. Reasonably good to see you.
Likewise.
We gotta get Nick a shirt, a couple shirts, so we'll get him.
We'll get hooked up, man.
Oh, no problem.
We got you. Appreciate it. Here's some Paul Thorne. I don't like half the folks I love on the creek.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. We hope you've enjoyed this game up till this point. The Mayhem certainly have. They've managed to accumulate a 2-goal lead over the course of 40 minutes of play. It's something they've not done in a long time. The Mayhem have not entered a period of play with the lead since Friday in Quad City, and they haven't had an insurance lead since much longer than that. So they're really enjoying this, and they're hoping that they can hold on to this lead. Evansville right now in a situation where they need these points at the very least. They'd like to get 2. At the very least, they must get at least a point from this game because they're so far behind in the race for a playoff spot that and there's so few games left that every game is a must win, and if they don't win tonight, they'll be even deeper in a hole. So expect Evansville to not give up on this game in the slightest in the third period to try to give the Mayhem all they can handle. The Mayhem have to counter that with a similar mentality and with a similar must-win approach because, folks, for the Mayhem, this is all but a must-win game. Not just to snap the winless skid the team's been on, but to restore confidence and swagger that was so paramount in this team's early season success. A swagger the team hasn't had in much too long that they're in desperate need to get back. So this is an immensely important game for the Mayhem. It sounds funny because it's a Thursday night game against a 10th place squad, but this is one of the most important games the Mayhem have had all season. Just because of the way things have gone and in the spot that they're in right now with how much is at stake, with 2 teams having just tied them for 4th place, and the fact they're heading up to Huntsville tomorrow to play the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last season. There's a lot on the line. There's a lot riding on these 2 points. Most importantly, the Mayhem's spirits riding on these 2 points tonight. If they can hold it off and secure a couple of much-needed points, that will give the Mayhem the confidence boost that they need to head into Huntsville with tomorrow. Again, folks, I mentioned it a few times, but the Mayhem front office staff will be making the trip to Huntsville tomorrow to take on the Havoc. I'll have the call on SPHL Live on the away feed, and I'll have the call on YouTube as well, so you can tune in either way. Broadcast for the YouTube stream has already been scheduled. You can see it on the Mayhem's YouTube page, youtube.com/Macon Mayhem. We've got about 6.5 minutes remaining before second period action is underway. The Mayhem have a 4-2 lead right here at the Centreplex. Let's talk about how we got here. It started out with a couple of goals from Jake Trask pretty early, just 8 minutes and 5 seconds apart from one another in period 1. At 8:36, Jake Trask finished off a nice pass from John Seamer from the slot into the right circle. Trask unleashed a wrist shot from there to score his team-leading 17th goal of the season. And then 8 minutes and 5 seconds later, he did something that propelled him into the third-place spot for the SPHL leaderboards in terms of goals scored this season, tying Austin Veith of the Peoria Rivermen in that category. He and Veith have 18 goals this season now. Trask's second goal tonight was unassisted. He took the puck away at the blue line, just motored back down the slot and ripped it home past Braden Ostapchuk for his 18th goal of the campaign, and second unanswered. Was a candidate for the natural hat trick for some time until John Seamer scored a goal exactly 60 seconds after Jake Trask got his. Alexander Tallinn and Kristaps Bazovics having assisted on John Seamer's goal to give the Mayhem a 3-0 lead. That would wrap up period 1. It would give the Mayhem exactly what they wanted, a good start to put Evansville in a hole. But Evansville used period 2 to chip away at their deficit a little bit, Shane Morrissey scoring a pair of goals. Scored at 7:17 and then again at 12:52. One of which was at even strength, the next of which was on a power play. First one was a rebound that he jammed home past Silvis. Nick DeVolio putting a shot on net. Silvis not doing a good enough job ensuring that the rebound went into a harmless spot on the ice, sort of popped off his stick and right into the crease. And Morrissey was there to smash it past him. So Morrissey driving hard to the net, getting a well-deserved 16th goal of the season, and then scoring a 17th, which ties him for the top 5 in the SPHL, by the way. Morrissey's been red hot lately, folks. Coming into this game, he had scored 5 times in his last 4 games. Now he's got 7 in his last 5 games, so that's incredible. And Shane Morrissey has been hard to slow down. And he's got a pair tonight, number 14 in white. The second goal was incredible. He just sort of closed in deliberately down the left wing side on an Evansville power play. Didn't have much of an angle to work with. Ian Silva seemed to have the post covered, and from the left wing, he just lifted it over Silva's shoulder upstairs into the back of the net. So a brilliantly placed shot by Shane Morrissey to bring Evansville to within 2. By the way, Dakota Klecha scored his first goal since his return from injury. He missed a few games, quite a few games. He missed as many as he played in, Dakota Klecha. But he returned on February 8th against the Pensacola Ice Flyers, and this is his first point since his return. So a huge goal for Dakota Klecha. And it was one of the easier goals he'll ever score. All he had to do really was skate hard to the net. And Derik Sutliff put the pass on a silver platter. All Klecha had to do was make sure his stick was down, and it was. So Sutliff reaching double digits in assists. Klecha reaching double digits in goals. Sutliff's 10th assist, Klecha's 10th goal. And with that, the Mayhem were able to pull ahead 4-1 before Shane Morrissey's snipe from the left circle. There was a penalty called against Zach Urban late in period 2. It was a high sticking infraction that he was called against Nick DeVolio, and there's only 9 seconds remaining on that penalty, so the Mayhem hopeful that they can just kill that quickly with a face-off win that'll just about do it. Right now, folks, the Mayhem heavily outshooting the Thunderbolts by a 38-19 margin. At least that's what's showing on the scoreboard here. Although on SPHL Live, it's showing 29-19. So there might be a misprint or a typo rather somewhere. That's another element the Mayhem are proud of right now. It's been a long time since they've outshot somebody. The last time the Mayhem outshot an opponent was in Evansville, which was way back on January 19th. 10 games later, they're doing it again. And there's been a very strong correlation for the Mayhem between shots and wins this season. The more they shoot, the more they win. It's pretty simple. It's obviously not perfect correlation, but had a pretty strong positive relationship. Quick glance around the SPHL before we commence period 3 here, folks. Fayetteville won its game against Pensacola earlier this morning, I should say. It was a 4-3 victory in the early morning puck drop up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and then so 4-3 was the final score. Fayetteville with that win tying Macon with 47 points this season. Now the Mayhem have a game in hand, and they will not after tonight. Hopefully the Mayhem can pull back ahead by a couple of points. They're also tied with Knoxville and Quad City in Knoxville tonight right now. The Mayhem hopeful that Quad City can pull that game off. It's a 2-2 stalemate entering period 3. And it's really the first time the Mayhem have been close in the standings with the Knoxville Ice Bears all season. But Jeff Carr's squad has really been pulling things together. And the Mayhem over the course of their last 8 games, have only managed a couple of points. And tonight, they're hoping to reverse their misfortunes and get back on the winning trail. The tale of the tape for them this season, folks. The Mayhem have really won and lost games in bunches. There's only been one case all season where a Mayhem win wasn't accompanied by at least 3. So puck sliding a little bit awkwardly earlier on. There might have been a dead zone on the ice or some water left over from the Zamboni. In the meantime, the Mayhem have returned to full strength and have improved to 1 for 2 on the J&J's heating and air conditioning penalty kill. John Seymour spins it into the corner on the far side. Rory Rollick taking Caleb Cameron out of the play. And Carter Shinkarik emerges with it and shuffleboards it out past the blue line, kicks it up towards the red line. Zach Urban takes it away from him. Bazovic leads it ahead, and Caleb Cameron will fling it wide of the net. Bounces off the open MRI of Macon Dasherboard, and now it's spun up to Evan Schultz. His pass is well outside of the reach of Tucker. Taylor Love. Up to Jake Trask. He flings one along. Derik Sutliff leads it back to Levesque. Austin Frank is surrounded by Sutliff and Klecha. Evan Schultz. Now it's Shinkarik. He will skate it out to the red line and send it in from center. It's stopped by Silvas, who will cradle the puck with his glove. 18:34 to go in the third period. 4-2 Macon is your score. Hope to have you on board with us tomorrow night, folks. The Mayhem in Huntsville, Alabama, to take on the Havoc out at Von Braun Arena. Puck drop at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. local time, or Central Standard Time. The Mayhem this season against Huntsville, a 2-1-0 record, respectable considering the season that Huntsville is beginning to muster. They're 1-0 on home ice against the Havoc, 1-1 on the road. The only game the Mayhem have lost against Huntsville was that 5-4 barn burner in which they had a 2-goal lead and lost it. Flying puck out of play, brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. We'll get a neutral zone face-off after the fact. But that 5-4 defeat back on January 26 would actually be the first time all season the Mayhem would score the first goal and not go on to win the game. Larry Smith is dispossessed of it by Tyler Howe. And down the right wing side will skate Scott Donahue. He's watched every step of the way by Nick Minerva. Minerva takes him off the puck. Sutliff jimmies the puck loose. It's whacked down and behind the net by Eric Salzillo. Four-player scrum continues as it's soccered up the wall by Nick Minerva and kept in the zone from the left point. The shot blocked by Klecha. It's recovered and fed back to Ben Owen in the neutral zone. Blocks his stick, tries to kick it along. And Justin Levesque looking to take it away from him. Owen will just skate to the Evansville bench and get a new piece of lumber. Vinny Caligiuri to Seth Ronsberg. We'll shovel it into Evansville territory. Frank Schumacher splits one up the middle too far outside of the reach of Morrissey, and icing is the call against Evansville. That icing call has been brought to you by Tropical Smoothie Cafe. We've got 2.5 minutes expired in period 3. 4-2 Macon is your score. Season tickets are now on sale for next season, folks. A very inclusive season ticket package. For more information, visit the Mayhem website, maconmayhem.com, or call our front office at 478-803-1592. Mayhem winning the offensive zone face-off. Move the puck through to 4 players quickly. Bazovic with a long wrist shot, scores. A long screen shot through lots of traffic. The Mayhem players a little confused as to who scored that goal. I believe it changed direction out in front of Ostapchuk, and they're saying that the goal was scored by Ronsberg. So Ronsberg, if I'm not mistaken, will ultimately receive credit for this goal. The Mayhem's 5th goal of the night. Right off that faceoff, the Mayhem passed it to 4 different players within probably a second and a half to 2 seconds. And Kristaps fired the long point shot. We talked earlier about how great he's been this season at getting his shots through traffic, as he just demonstrated moments ago. So Tallinn will redirect the puck into Evansville territory. Ostapchuk sends it around the half wall. From the right point, it's Zach Urban. D-to-D pass. Bazovic's another shot. This time it's handled by Ostapchuk. Under duress now is Max Mikowski, who's going to start to wheel out the left wing side. Mikowski galloping up to the red line is dispossessed by Tallinn, and Shinkarik stymies him. Now it's Mikowski again. Schumacher. So they're announcing the goal as Bazovic's goal, but I believe they will request a change because Ronsberg led the goal celebration. Looked like he probably got a piece on it with his stick to cause the deflection. The goal stands as Ronsberg's. It's his 4th of the season. Kristaps will undoubtedly get a point. Right now it stands as a goal, but I believe it will be switched to an assist. Bazovic's leading all Mayhem defensemen in scoring this season with 17 points on the campaign. Trask saucers it in from center ice. Rory Rawlick wedges it past Cameron. Tyler Howe off the skates of Salzillo. Now it's Jarrett Cupp in his own zone. Cupp lobs it up to Cameron. Swatted at by Taylor Love and dumped into the zone by Trask. Rory Rawlick's got it. Pass right up the middle. It's taken away by Jarrett Cupp, who rifles it wide of the cage. Jake Trask. And now Larry Smith will do well to keep the puck alive at the right point and lets a shot go from the line. It redirected off a pair of skates, and Rory Rawlick will skate it out of the defensive zone, and Howe dumps it into the far corner. Smith chips it off the boards, and Seamer clears it. And puck's neutralized by Rawlick, who takes it in front of the Macon bench and will dump it in. Silvis halts it, and Nick Minerva, the attempted clear up to Dakota Kletcha, gets a second chance. He will feed it safely to Smith this time. Sutliff springs it along the Mayhem on a 2-on-1. Levesque is joined by Kletcha. Levesque's shot stopped by Ostapchuk, who sprawls on the rebound. 15:16 to go in the third period. Macon up 5-2 over the Evansville Thunderbolts. So Leo Thomas not really switching up personnel for this offensive zone draw, at least keeping the same forwards out there. The Levesque, Sutliff, Kletcha line. The puck drops. Evansville off the draw, picks up by Austin Frank, who will send it up into the neutral zone, where it's dumped in and stopped by Silvis, and he will take a whistle as well. Folks, we'd like to invite you out to our, well, we're calling it a triple header. That might be a little misleading because it's not 3 games in one night, but it is 3 games in 3 nights. The Mayhem hosting the Birmingham Bulls next Thursday on College Night, presented by Ann Parman Law Firm. $8 tickets for college students, $10 for the general public, and $10 for college groups as well, which include free hats and an experience upgrade of your choosing. Next Friday is Princess Night, and next Saturday is Pucks and Paws Night. Levesque up the middle. Pass was intercepted. The Mayhem onside. Levesque sends it to Sutliff. Outer side of the far circle, and his pass was intended for Dakota Kletcha. It didn't reach him. There were too many white sweaters to block the passing lane. Levesque has to spin it out of his own zone quickly. Ben Owen took that away, and now it's Zach Urban retaining possession. Will begin to skate it out of his own end. He flings it up to Justin Levesque, who will airmail one into the opposite corner. The next whistle that blows will prompt a media timeout here as Mikowski receives a long stretch pass from the defensive zone. Gave it away to Jarrett Cupp. Puck rolls into the Macon logo at center ice, and now it's Cupp getting it right back. Dekes his way away from Carter Shinkarik. Colleen now to Taylor Love. He accelerated it up to to Sean Reynolds, and Ostapchuk will take a whistle and a stoppage of play. And there you have it, our first media timeout of period 3. We're going to step aside for a quick pause on the Mayhem Broadcast Network. 5-2 your score in favor of Macon. We'll be back in a moment, folks.
This season, the Mayhem are offering a great group package. Whether you're a school, a church, a company, or just a group of friends, give the Mayhem office a call and we'll set you up with an incredible group deal. From $13 tickets to free team hats to a unique experience upgrade of your choosing, the Mayhem have got you and your group covered. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to purchase your group tickets to a Mayhem game today. Need to raise some money for your organization? Contact the Mayhem front office and we'll be happy to partner up with your group to help you fundraise for a cause. You buy tickets from us at $10, you sell them for $15, and then you keep the remaining $5 per ticket sold for whatever cause you like. Call our office at 478-803-1592 to set up a fundraiser for your organization today.
Welcome back, folks. So Macon up 5-2 at the hands of the Evansville Thunderbolts. If you're just now joining us, this has been the game the Mayhem have been hoping for a long time. Just an offensive explosion that has not come in a while. It's the first time the Mayhem have scored 3 goals or more since January 26th against the Huntsville Havoc in that 5-4 defeat, as Braden Ostapchuk able to deny a long point shot. Some pushes and shoves really for the first time tonight, taking place after the whistle. When you see two teams that don't see each other very often like this, you don't see a whole heck of a lot of the extracurriculars going on between whistles. You did see a good clean fight between Seth Ronsberg and heavyweight Nick Wright, the Evansville leader in penalty minutes this season, and he is not somebody I'd want to fight against, that's for sure. The long point shot is taken by Minerva that rattles into the corner on the near side of the ice. It flops up in the air. Tallene securing possession and sending it up to Sean Reynolds at the point. And the puck's been neutralized by Evansville's Max Mikowski, driving down the right side, delaying and sending it across the crease, hoping for Shinkarik. It was not in his wheelhouse, and thus no shot came from number 20 in white. Nick Minerva with a bit of a mishap. He recovers and feeds it to Larry Smith. Long stretch pass is redirected by Ronsberg into the corner on the left side. Thought that it might have gone out of play based on the reaction from Ostapchuk. Not the case, and Chase Neuendijk will get the puck out of his own zone. Eric Salzillo, right wing side with a shot. Blocker saves Silvis. Oh, and that did not look good. There's going to be a penalty called against John Seamer, as there was a collision with Scott Donahue, who was passing by, and Seamer got him a little bit, clipped him, and Scott Donahue went flying head first into the end wall, and that was a dangerous-looking collision into the boards. Fortunately, it looks like Donahue's okay, as he got back up pretty quickly. Not sure I could say the same if I had sustained that contact. And I beg your pardon, it's actually Zach Urban skating to the box, not John Seamer. And Urban's had difficulty staying out of the penalty box since he returned from the Toledo Walleye. And he's going to take another seat. He was the last Mayhem player to go to the box. He'll do so again. The Mayhem tonight 1 for 2 on the J&J's heating and air conditioning penalty kill. Zach Urban given a 2-minute minor for tripping. As play continues here, we're 7 minutes into the third period. The Mayhem up 5-2 against Evansville. Braden Ostapchuk is forced to stop the puck behind his own net and will leave it off now for Brandon Tucker, who sends it onto the left wing side, and Evansville might be guilty of a penalty here. I believe I saw a flying stick slashing the call against the visitors, and this power play that the Bolts just had has just been neutralized. Brandon Tucker penalized for slashing Vinny Caligiuri's stick clean out of his hands. And the Mayhem penalty killer doing a good job of leveling the odds here. So the Mayhem will go to the 4-on-4, after which a 16-second long power play will ensue. John Seamer, Jake Trask, Jarrett Cupp, and Taylor Love out there for Macon. And an offensive zone draw won by Seamer. Nobody was manning the left point, so Cupp will have to skate it back into his own zone and regroup. Cupp starts it right up the middle. weaves his way in across the blue line, feeds it to Jake Trask on the right. The alternate captain scored the Mayhem's first 2 goals tonight. Was a candidate for the natural hat trick until Seamer buried a goal just a minute later. Seamer sustains a check from Schumacher. In the meantime, Trask carries across the blue line. Seamer with a wide open lane. He drives, shoots on the goal mouth. It was cleared out of there by Rory Rollick, who just saved a goal. It was trickling into the net, and Rollick just scooped it up off the goal line and saved the day for the Thunderbolts. The Evansville captain coming up big. Taylor Love, the Mission Viejo, California native, sending it back to Dakota Kletcha, who scored his first goal since the injury tonight. His 10th of the season, assisted by Derik Sutliff, who had his 10th assist of the season on that play as well. Larry Smith in his first game back after missing 7 after sustaining a knee injury in the Peoria series. Puck's kept alive at the point there by Scott Donahue and promptly turned over. Minerva sends it up to Kletcha, who's got great speed. He gets right around a check, cuts to the net, shoots, and scores! Dakota Kletcha with a brilliant coast-to-coast play. He gained a step on Scott Donahue and kissed him goodbye. Backhand, forehand, back of the net. It's Kletcha's second goal of the night, and the Mayhem have built upon their lead. It's now 6-2. My goodness, that is some blazing speed by Dakota Kletcha. Cameron fed a pass back to the top of the circle for Bazovics, who kept it in the zone. Cameron is sent down to the ice by Austin Frank. And now it's Ben Owen, who worked it up the right side. It's been angled further now for Carter Shinkarik, who's trying to get around Ronsberg, attempts the wraparound. The puck slides up the slot, whacked back towards the net by Frank, who gets another chance at it. And the Thunderbolts have just returned to full strength. We're back to the 5-on-5 as Brandon Tucker skates back to the Evansville bench. It's been lobbed in by Sutliff, wide of Ostapchuk's cage. Max Mikowski caroms off a stanchion awkwardly right in between the circles. Ben Owen, Evansville's top-scoring defenseman, swats it out of his own zone. Ronsberg. Minnesota-born centerman who's played a lot of defense this season, just put some nice moves on display as he takes it into the circle and fires, fought off by Ostapchuk. That's one of Ronsberg's favorite places to shoot from. You can ask him if you don't believe me. As Taylor Love sends it into the far corner. It's Nick Wright interrupting it and getting it just past the blue line now. Taylor Love recovering and working it back out to the neutral zone. Tallene is able to spring Sean Reynolds across the blue line. He will swivel into the right circle and fire from a pretty tough angle. Ostapchuk had the angle covered and made the save. We're past the halfway point of period 3. The Mayhem now with a commanding 6-2 lead, the likes of which we've not seen in quite some time. It's good to see them out in front by a large margin again. Now, the last time the Mayhem had a lead this substantial was in their last win against the Huntsville Havoc on January 25th. Your out-of-town scoreboard update while we wait for the second intermission, second media timeout of this third period of play to come to an end. Knoxville hosting Quad City tonight, like we said earlier, and Fayetteville hosting Pensacola. That game already in the books. Fayetteville able to hold on for a 4-3 win. A close game despite the Marksmen getting off to a 3-goal lead in the first period. And that Thursday morning tilt up in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Quad City and Knoxville halfway through period 3. The game is still tied up at 2. That'll be one worth watching carefully if you're a Mayhem fan, as the Ice Bears now tied with Macon for 4th place in the SPHL standings. So in this scenario, I'm fairly certain Coach Thomas and the Mayhem hoping that Quad City can pull off the win. Rory Rollick lobs the pass out to center. It's Scott Donahue advancing it further. Kristaps Bazovics. Urban is de-sticked, and he's upset. He skates to the Beyond Taboo Tattoo penalty box for the third time tonight. That's been Zach Urban's second home this evening. 2 minutes for a holding is the call against Zach Urban. The Mayhem 2 for 3 on the J&J's heating and air conditioning penalty kill. Evansville to the power play with half of the third period still yet to play. The Thunderbolts with a mountain to climb, and we talked about how virtually every game from this point on for them is a must-win. And they've really got to do some digging here. A stuff attempt from the back of the net doesn't work out as Silvis was able to read it. Klecha. Cup whacks it down. Rollick gets it in his own zone. Schumacher sends it around the end boards clockwise, and Jarrett Cup is first there. Unable to clear it past Howe. Steered aside by Silvis, who had the paddle down, and now Schumacher delays at the left point. To Rory Rollick. To Eric Salzillo, Evansville's top scorer with 24 points in the campaign. Long wrist shot through lots of traffic. A scramble in the crease, and Silvis is able to pounce on it. A little bit awkwardly, but he kept it from crossing the goal line, and that's all that counts. Schumacher frustrated because he did a good job getting that shot through. He thought it would lead to a goal, and it almost did. Ian Silvis looking for his first win since January 25th. And there's probably nobody he'd rather do it against than his former team, the Evansville Thunderbolts, the team that cut him at the start of the season. There's going to be a face-off in the left circle that's won by Nick DeVolio and the Evansville Thunderbolts, and it's dished off from Austin Frank to Frank Schumacher on the left. Beg your pardon, that's Shane Morrissey, still Evansville's lone goal scorer tonight. He's got both of them. Ben Owen steps into the deep slot. Shane Morrissey's on his right, Frank on his right now as well. Doesn't pull the trigger, receives the pass, and wheels into the slot and shoots. Redirects wide of the right post, and Morrissey will receive the pass from Nick DeVolio. He will step into the slot with Frank reassuming his position on the right point. Steps down into the circle. Austin Frank to the side of the net. Turnaround shot by DeVolio is denied by Silvis. Job well done covering the short side post. Silvis gave a shove. He makes the stop on the shot from DeVolio again. In the meantime, it's picked up by Shane Morrissey, who's attempting to work it back to the point. Smith trying to encumber him. Flutters into the corner on the near side of the ice. Minerva is under duress as Tucker and Morrissey work together to move it back to the blue line. Austin Frank gives it off to his left for a one-time drive that's fought off by Silvis with the glove on the shot from Ben Owen. In the meantime, Caligiuri's attempted clear, stopped by Owen. Fluttering puck lands high in the slot. Austin Frank salvages it. He coughs up possession. Caligiuri's uncontested on a 2-on-0, joined by Urban. Caligiuri over to Urban, shoots, missed the net, and it goes behind the goal. Caligiuri's got another chance, sends it to Urban, who is outnumbered. He's surrounded, and he coughs it up. Urban will now skate to the Macon bench. Nearly Zach Urban's first goal of the season came immediately after a successful penalty kill. Vinny Caligiuri, a selfless effort to try to give his defenseman his first goal on the campaign. We saw earlier this season, not long ago, Kristaps Bazovic set up John Seamer on a play pretty similar to that one. A defenseman coming out of the penalty box, just lurking behind enemy lines and joining a 2-on-0 rush or a 2-on-1 rush. And that time it paid off as Bazovic fed a cross-crease pass on the tape for Seamer. This time, no such luck. Evansville forcing a turnover, but to no avail. Tallinn is able to escape the danger as he springs Reynolds on his way down the right side. His shot attempt is denied by Braden Ostapchuk, and going to be Chase Neuendijk, who fed it into the middle for Carter Shinkarik, who concedes possession to Jarrett Cup. Cup sustains a Harrison's body shop collision in front of the timekeepers. 6:48 to go in the third period. 6-2 your score in favor of Macon. That flying puck's been brought to you by Blues Painting and Home Repair. There's going to be a neutral zone draw taking place at the Mayhem logo at center ice. It's won by Evansville, sort of a neutral face-off win. Zach Urban does the splits and goes sliding into the half boards. No hand pass there. The Mayhem unable to get off to the races as Tyler Howe interrupted the pass. The long snapshot is dealt with by the blocker of Ian Silvis, who will take no chances here and cover it up at the side of his crease. The Mayhem right now out shooting Evansville by a 36-22 margin. That's probably, if there's one particular area they've been wanting to improve upon the most lately, that has been the case. The shots on goal, there have not been enough. The Mayhem have not outshot the opposition in a game since January 25th. I beg your pardon, since the week before that, since January 19th against Evansville. Rory Rawlick will chip it off the glass. It flies out into the neutral zone. Bazovic coughs it up. Morrissey down the right side with a backhander that sails over the crossbar. And now it's John Seamer scooping it up, commencing the counterattack. His pass goes past Rawlick, picked up by Cameron left side. His shot is blocked away by Ostapchuk, and it's shoveled out just past the referee Zane Stout out to neutral territory. The Mayhem back into the Havoc zone, into the Thunderbolts zone, as it's going to be spun now by Brandon Tucker. Frank Schumacher gave it away to Kletcha in front of the Macon bench. Lunging is Kristaps Bazovic to spear it out to Derik Sutliff. Reached 10 assists tonight on his cross-crease pass that landed on the tape of Dakota Kletcha. Who's got it now? Larry Smith. Fools Carter Shinkarik, who's been great in the face-off circle in the forecheck tonight, but he couldn't steal it from Smith. Kletcha from Minerva in the left circle. Schumacher loses his stick. Levesque secures possession in the far corner. He's pinned to the boards now by Nick Wright. And it's flung around to the near side of the ice, and Schumacher's got it. Second among Evansville defensemen in scoring this season with 10 points on the campaign. Larry Smith rattles it back out. Levesque is sized up by Shinkarik. NHL brother with the Calgary Flames, and Hunter Shinkarik, a first-round draft pick, Carter's older brother. Alexander Tallinn in over the blue line. Dipsy doodles his way into the left corner. Alexander Tallinn hoping to sort of reignite the flame that he had the last time he squared off against Evansville. Had a hat trick in his last game against the Bolts. Earned a SPHL Warrior Hockey Player of the Week honors. Here's a chance for Owen driving. Loose puck in the slot, whacked wide of the goal. But a penalty is forthcoming against Macon. They'll be heading back to the sin bin with time winding down. 4:24 to go in the third period. The Mayhem up 6-2 over the Evansville Thunderbolts. Appear to be en route to their first win in nearly a month, which is huge for them because they've really just, I don't want to say they've hit rock bottom, but they have hit a new low with this winless skid. It's the first time they've ever dropped this many consecutive games. A lot of them were close calls, folks. Two of them went to overtime. Those overtime games have not been friendly to the Mayhem this season. They're 0-5 in games that have gone longer than 60 minutes. And certainly the pucks weren't bouncing their ways, but that's no excuse. They need a W, and they need one now. Tonight was described by Coach Leo Thomas as a must-win. The first time, really, all season, I would say, that the Mayhem have been in a situation where they must win. And they've answered the call. The captains put the weight on their shoulders early on, got the first 3 goals of this game. Jake Trask with 2 unanswered to start things out, had a pair of strikes in the first period, and then John Seamer followed it up with a goal of his own. Seamer's been red hot for the Mayhem of late. 14th point in his last 10 games for the alternate captain. Alexander Tallinn now the league leader in penalty minutes as he skates to the Beyond Taboo Tattoo penalty box. The Mayhem back to the PK for the 5th time tonight. There are 3 for 4 thus far on the night. This Mayhem penalty kill is brought to you by J&J's Heating and Air Conditioning as Jake Cup is able to spear one out to the blue line. It squeaks over the stick of Frank Schumacher and out to neutral territory in front of the Evansville bench. 4 minutes remain in regulation time, 100 seconds to go on the penalty call against Alexander Tallinn. hereinafter known as the Bolt Cutter. We'll see if that nickname sticks. I thought it was pretty clever earlier today, calling him the Bolt Cutter because of how well he's played against the Bolts this season. Now swiveling in across the blue line is Derik Sutliff. He is stymied by Taylor Love, who ultimately concedes possession right back to Sutliff, who will dump it into Macon territory. Cup's clearing attempt blocked by Rollick just barely, but he kept it in the zone. Rory Rollick long snapshot. Side of the net attempt is denied by Silvas, who pounces on the puck inside of the trapezoid. Scott Donahue had the puck just bounce his way. A fortuitous break, and there's some pushes and shoves going on behind Ian Silvas' net right now. There might have been an Evansville player who was digging for that loose puck after Silvas sprawled on it in behind the net. And you like to see the Mayhem coming to their goaltender's defense, because there were a few times on Saturday night where Silvas was not pushed around necessarily, but there were some situations that arose in which Peoria could have done a better job of avoiding contact with him and didn't. And I think there were a few opportunities, missed opportunities for the Mayhem skaters to get into Peoria's faces a little bit more about it. So Tyler Howe, the brother of former Mayhem Travis Howe, who's now with the Greenville Swamp Rabbits in the ECHL. Howe's going to have a seat. And we're back to the 4-on-4. 58 seconds remain on the penalty against Alexander Tallinn. The Mayhem 0 for 2 on the Wild Wing Cafe power play tonight. That's been flung across the crease on the tape for Austin Frank, the defenseman, able to work it up the wall in front of the bench as Ben Owen twisting it into the left circle, where it's carried down the wing by Nick DeVolio. Justin Levesque, the Mayhem's leader in plus-minus with a +20 on the season, sends it down the left boards. Dakota Kalecha catches up to it first, spins it back up the wall. Levesque is surrounded on all sides by white and red sweaters. One of them, Shane Morrissey, the lone goal scorer tonight for the Bolts, scoops it up and carries it out to center. Morrissey attempts his luck with a 100-foot shot that's easily denied by Ian Silvas. 15 seconds remain on the penalty against Tallinn. Levesque gains the line. We'll send it down in below the goal line in the Evansville zone. Rory Rollick's got it. Mayhem improving to 4 for 5 tonight on the PK. Tallinn let out of the box, and the Mayhem going to a minute-long power play. Have an opportunity to really boost their stats on the man advantage this season, because this game is in the books, folks. The Mayhem have a 6-2 lead with 2 minutes remaining in play here. Jake Trask to Nick Minerva, who kicks it up to his stick. He will gain the blue line, stops, sends it to Seamer in the left circle, drops it back to Trask. Trask with a toe drag, blocked by Neuendijk, and he has cleared it. Chase Neuendijk might have just saved a hat trick that could have happened had Jake Trask really pulled off a shot there. He scored from 2 tougher angles than that tonight, as Caleb Cameron is caught offside. Much to the crowd's displeasure, as a few boo birds rained down after that decision by the linesman Dan Huntington. 98 seconds remain in regulation. The Mayhem with a 6-2 advantage over the Thunderbolts. 17 seconds to go on this power play. The Mayhem en route to their first victory in nearly a month. They will be heading to Huntsville on a high note. Again, folks, the entire Mayhem front office staff will be in Huntsville tomorrow. General Manager Blair Floyd, Director of Community Relations Colin Mitchell, Director of Ticketing Tyler Layfield, our digital media producer Brian Arnold, and myself will all be there. I'll have the call on the SPHL live and on YouTube tomorrow night from Huntsville. John Seamer battling for the puck in the corner, kicks it up to his stick. The Mayhem dropping the power play opportunity. Trask centering, Cameron feeding Seamer in the left circle. And now Nick Minerva will work for it behind the opposing net before now skating to the Macon bench to be replaced by Jarrett Cupp. Fresh off the bench, Cupp takes over. We're in the final minute of play here as Tyler Howe will skate down the left side. Taylor Love defends him. The centering pass ricochets wide of the cage as per Jarrett Cupp's defense. Owen put it down off the stick of Scott Donahue. It bounces. This will be the last time the Mayhem face the Thunderbolts this season. 36 seconds. Ben Owen from the right point, able to scale one down the boards. Fans ferociously celebrating the end of the longest winless skid in franchise history. You can hear from the incessant blowing of the horns here at the Macon Centreplex. These fans, the most faithful fans the Mayhem have to offer, could not be more happy tonight. The Mayhem took care of business. This was described by Mayhem head coach Leo Thomas indisputably as a must-win game. The Mayhem did exactly that, and the longest winless skid in the history of the franchise comes to an end in emphatic fashion. 6-2 the final score in favor of Macon, 40-30 the shots on goal. Outshooting their opponent has not come easily for the Mayhem of late. This was the first time the Mayhem have managed 40 shots in a game since January 19th. It's also the first time they've outshot their opponents since January 19th. So not just a win on the scoreboard tonight, folks, but a win in several other areas on top of that. The shooting issue that became a real problem on Saturday. The Mayhem, with their lowest shots on goal in a game in franchise history against Peoria, they needed to address the shooting issue. They did that tonight in the first period. They had 14 shots, almost as many as they did the entire game last Saturday. And then throughout the rest of the game, the Mayhem just continued their dominance. They did not take their feet off the gas pedal, not but once. Shane Morrissey with a couple of goals in period 2 really, that was the lone bright spot in an otherwise very dark evening for the Thunderbolts. Shane Morrissey creeping into the top 5 in the SPHL and goals scored this season, now tied with actually Birmingham's Jacob Barber and Josh Harris. So some pretty elite company there, pretty elite goal scorers. So Shane Morrissey with a big night for Evansville. But more importantly, the Mayhem getting the job done. Jake Trask with a couple of goals. Dakota Klecha with his first goal since returning. Also tallied another one, an insurance goal in the third period with a brilliant backhand to forehand maneuver before tucking it past Braden Ostapchuk. So a couple of goals for him tonight. John Seymour striking as well, and Seth Ronsberg striking on the redirect shot coming from Kristaps Bazovics. All of the goal scorers tonight, folks, have one thing in common. They're all veterans of a sort, have all played with the Mayhem. And this is not their first year with the Mayhem. And they're all leaders, not necessarily wearing an A on their sweater, but Ronsberg, Klecha, Seymour, and Trask are all considered in the leadership core of the Mayhem. The leaders stepped up big, and they stepped up when they were most needed to tonight to get the Mayhem back on the winning trail. They're hoping that this becomes the norm again. The Mayhem with a little swagger back after a very important 2 points, a must-win, being taken care of tonight by the Mayhem as John Seymour is named the third star of tonight's game. Jake Trask will be named the second star of the game tonight. Opened the scoring, was a candidate for the natural hat trick for all of 60 seconds before John Seymour scored his goal. Jake Trask with goals 17 and 18 on the season now ranks tied for third in the SPHL with Peoria's Austin Veith for the league lead in goals. And I think this goes without saying, folks. Dakota Klecha was just waiting for his big return after sustaining that injury in which he was out for 3 months with a wrist injury. His shot never really returning to full form, or not, at least not at the rate he wanted it to. I think tonight he proved that his shot is back. He scored twice, one of which a tap-in set up by Derik Sutliff, the next of which was a brilliant individual effort after he stole possession in the neutral zone and drove it down the left side, just blew right around Scott Donahue, who I think Klecha saw was not a defenseman. He saw number 10. He saw that it was not a defenseman, had an easy chance to burn him, and boy did he ever. He absolutely roasted Scott Donahue, just skated right around him, cut to the net, and buried it past Braden Ostapchuk for the Mayhem's sixth and final goal of the night. That just about wraps things up for now, folks. 6-2 the final score in favor of the Mayhem. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast. We know you enjoyed the outcome. The Mayhem heading up to Huntsville tomorrow night to square off against the Havoc. I'll have the call on the away feed on SPHL Live. I'll also be broadcasting the stream on YouTube. The stream is already scheduled. You can find it on Mayhem social media and on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Macon Mayhem. Puck drop tomorrow from Von Braun Arena at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Standard. We hope to have you with us. If not, folks, we hope to see you out here next weekend. The Mayhem hosting the Birmingham Bulls on Thursday, the Fayetteville Marksmen on Friday and Saturday for what will be College Night presented by Ann Parman Law Firm on Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Princess Night and Pucks and Paws Night, respectively. Our office number is 478-803-1592. I was about to give out my direct line, but 803-1592 is the Mayhem front office line. Call us for ticket information. That's all for now, folks. Thanks so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday night.
I can barely hear it. Was it on? Yeah, I hear it.
It's messed up, right?